you what, Cal? I mean, I can sing it pretty much any which way. I don't know. If you want me to, though, I mean, yeah.
I can sing it high, I can sing it low. I can tell you everything that you would like to know. Catch me in the sky, dusting on the grove. I can tell you every little thing that you would ever like to. I can sing it high, I can sing it low. I can tell you everything that you would like to know. Catch me in the sky, dusting on the grove. I can tell you every little thing that you would ever like to. I'll be in the summertime breeze if you need me. Yeah, go ask my moms if you don't believe me. Yeah, just open up and receive us. She said like ever since he was a little boy, he been mischievous. Catch me on the corner and you wind it up with me. You rub the genie and you wind it up with me. You like a lady but you never gon' believe. Yeah, 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 yeah. I can sing it high, I can sing it low. I can tell you everything that you would like to know. Catch me in the sky, dusting on the grove. I can tell you every little thing that you would ever like to. I can sing it high, I can sing it low. I can tell you everything that you would like to know. Catch me in the sky, dusting on the grove. I can tell you every little thing that you would ever like to know. Whoa, 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 whoa. Singing no, 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 no.
Oh well, I was rolling down the block like a station wagon with wood paneling. Damn, the bass is rattling, man, the baddest thing that you've ever seen in this whole galaxy. Funking up all your fallacies, make room here for your majesty. We'll show you who the baddest be, sucker. What? Okay, kidding and drilling and filling the flow. He be keeping it high when I'm dropping it low. So lose control, spin him all around with the do-si-do. Oh no, yo, gonna go for broke. Back up, overload. With a knack for the track and the crack in the back, with the back to the mat. There is
I can sing it high,
I can sing it low.
I can tell you everything that you would like to know. Catch me in the sky,
Dusting on the grove.
I can tell you every little thing that you would ever like to know. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We could have the moon, we could have the stars, we could have the Milky Way set for Mars. We could have the moon, we could have the stars, we could have the Milky Way set for Mars. We could have the moon, we could have the stars, we could have the Milky Way. Sing it low. I can tell you everything that you would like to know. Catch me in the sky, dusting on the grove. I can tell you every. I can sing it high, I can sing it low. I can tell you everything that you would like to know. Catch me in the sky, dusting on the grove. I can tell you every little thing that you would ever like to know. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
If you have a big issue with singing, maybe reaching high range and all that, you have to sort it out first with technique. Reaching high range, voice breakages, you can hit high range with powerful notes. Yes, then you have to sort yourself out first with techniques. And then, the other side, styles and dynamics.
Get the fuck out of here.
Kevin, come on over here and tell them what time it is.
Okay.
nice, Kevin. All right, now get out of here. I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing the point. I need a coffee and a joint. I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing the point. I need a coffee and a joint. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Yeah. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Coffee in the joint, come on, man.
Yo, higher than an F-16
in Walgreens.
Trying to find some eye drops of the bottle of Listerine.
What?
Well, I'm Mr. Clean when I step on the scene. But yo, how did I get here? And what does this all mean? The last thing I remember was way back in September. Johnny had a doobie, it was groovy, full of pleasure. But I probably didn't measure the amount I should have taken. Now I'm standing on the feeling, and this feeling got me shaking. Yo, I get the bacon with my better crocker, baby. We dishing out delectables, yeah, they tasty, so yeah, it's amazing. Now come and get this slice. And if they try to take my herb, I'll say, take my wife. But Kevin, you're not married. Oh shit, it's getting scary. I'm mixing up my history, my memories are buried. And I don't have a clue what's real or imaginary. So take heed, my children, cause this story's cautionary.
Yeah, I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing a point. I need a coffee and a joint. I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing a point. I need a coffee and a coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. What? Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint.
Come on now.
Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint.
Coffee in the joint,
So
joint.
I was standing in the corner of the kitchen by myself, eyeing up the pop brownies on the top shelf. I'm thinking maybe just a nibble or do, but I didn't eat dinner, so I gobbled down too. Oh shit, I fucking blew it. Yo, I got to keep this conversation fluid. Yeah, too high to function. I'm feeling like a clown at a funeral luncheon. I'm a goner, man, I've reached my marijuana maximum consumption. Yeah, goddamn hors d'oeuvre, threw my knife for a curve. But I could be the hero that this party deserves. So I boot and rally, sink the last cup. Turns out it was my team's cup. Fuck, I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing a point. I need a coffee and a joint. I got this feeling inside, can't find no balance in my mind. I must be missing a point. I need a coffee and a joint. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. What? Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. All right. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Kevin, what? Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Yeah. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. All right. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Yeah. Coffee in the joint, coffee in the joint. Coffee in the joint. Yo, that's right. Let's take them out. Man, I'm terrible at smoking weed.
That's okay. I'll handle it. Thanks, yo.
Sugar Shack gonna take us like way far. It's like S to the UGAR. Sugar Shack gonna take us like way far. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Morning. Good morning. I'm happy to see y'all. Happy Tuesday. I've got some good news. Ants uploaded yesterday. So we will be watching that today. The Ant Overlord released some birds into the vivarium. Oh boy. Those frogs better watch their fucking asses. Speaking of birds, if you like them, it doesn't matter if you believe they're real or not, okay? But if you like them, go check out Corndiff's channel right now. He's got a 24/7 bird watch going on here. And it's been my favorite thing to watch for the last couple days. I highly recommend. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I just keep it popped up here on my computer all day. All day. There it is. Flock around and find out. It's beautiful. And it's interactive. Watch this shit. Look at this. That's all me. Left. Just introduce velociraptors, for crying out. For real, man. He really wants those ants dead. And he's doing everything in his power. Actually, he's kind of gaslighting us into thinking it's our fault. That's real shit. He's got a wheel of Gaia, and he spins it, and whatever it lands on, he does. So I feel like that's real gaslighty. It'd be fun if one of those things had a real, like, a thin slivers, like, kill everything in the vivarium. Just a decimation event. That'd be terrible. Check this out. There's also this. Let's scooch down a bit. Corn dance. Y'all go over there. Go over there and pop a freaking a like. At least a like. You know what I mean? I'm looking for my history here. Oh, here it is. Go pop a like on the channel. And if you're not subscribed, what the fuck are you even doing here? No, thank you. It's beautiful. And if you want to be a fucking squirrel's at the bird bath. Oh my god, don't run away. Don't run away. Oh, he ran away. Bastard. What's up, Roots? Morning. We're just watching Corndiff. Just for a minute or two. I can't believe... Look, there's a squirrel. There was a fucking squirrel right here. You son of a bitch. I think they know when the camera's pointed at them, because a few times this morning, I saw some birds and stuff, and I would try to zoom in on them, and as soon as I zoomed in on them, they fuck off. As you do. They're just shy, I think. What's up, Potsy? Morning. Granny comes out here and fucks with my fan, and now it's pointed that way and not this way. There we go. So a little bit of air. It is good, Potsy. It's very good. Sorry you guys can't see the logo. Looks like it's a left-handed cup. It says, "For Fox's sake." It's got a fox on it. You're ashamed of yourself? Why? What for? That coffee is real good. I've got a bunch of videos for us to watch today, actually. But we are absolutely gonna be watching Ants. I just gotta wait for Mikey. I refuse to watch Ants without Mikey. I refuse to watch Ants without all of y'all. I had to stay off of YouTube most of the day yesterday because every time I'd open up my YouTube app, the Ants video was the very, very first video. Every time. Every single time. It's like, I can't. I got a lot of good stuff. I got a little bit of whatever podcast. I got this gay dude bashing on gay dudes. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. We're going to watch Ants, like, close up. Kind of. Every Sunday, Ants Canada uploads a video. And they didn't upload this Sunday because I guess it was a big video. So he uploaded yesterday, but I don't stream on Mondays. So sometimes I gotta wait till Tuesday. Sun is here with another load from my sprayer. I'll be lurking. We'll see. We'll hold you in our hearts and our farts. Also, wow, that's kind of hot. Sort of. Biblically? I don't know. I should stop talking. Coffee should be drank black? I don't know about that. That seems a little bit racist. White coffee matters too, dude. As long as it ain't mocha. I'm just kidding. Oh, I don't like mocha coffee. Just either give me fucking chocolate milk or coffee, not both. Maybe when I was 17, you know. But I do like a bit of cream and sugar in my coffee for sure. I'm a female though. I think that's pertinent. How do I take my coffee? 2 level teaspoons of sugar and enough cream in it to make it like a light tan. I don't like it like super duper creamy. I don't want it milky either, you know. Just a regular cup of coffee. Your absolutely standard cup of cream and sugar coffee. That's it. I don't like pumps and nothing in there. Just standard cream and sugar. Sometimes I like my coffee iced, but the same. You know what I mean? 2 sugars, a little bit of cream. But that's about all I like deviate. Is there ice in it? There's no excuse that you're female. That's not coffee by the time you're done with it, Lemmy. I disagree. It's still coffee. I like to enjoy my coffee, man. The worse it is for you, the better it is for me. buy that expensive ass Starbucks mocha shit. Give me that chalky coffee. That's what I'm talking about. I don't like the mocha Starbucks. I like the regular coffee flavored Starbucks. But I very rarely buy them because they're like $7 and they're gone in 30 seconds because I can't not chug the damn thing. I can't not. It's like orange juice. You can't not chug that shit. Once it hits the lips, you know what I mean? It's so good. What's up, Michaela? Good morning. Good morning. Oh, we are absolutely watching this today. We're going to watch Milo go over a textbook that I actually had to study from. Good morning, King of all diffs. This one right here. You see this book he's holding? I learned from this book in science class. Fun stuff. And he actually mentions some of the things that I have mentioned to you guys, like the dinosaur bones thing. Oh, God. What a blast from the past this was. This kind of helped heal my religious trauma that I carry around with me a little bit. What a weird fucking thing, man.
Like Jesse Smollett.
Granny says, I like my coffee like Jesse Smollett. What's the punchline?
Almost white.
Almost white and kidnapped? What? Oh, kidnapped by black Haitians? I like my coffee safe and sound, thank you very much. In a safe room, actually. We're docking the boat. We got skunked. What do you mean? What do you mean? Are you speaking literally? Like there might have been a skunk on your boat and it sprayed you and now you have to dock? Is that a game? Is that gaming lingo? Like Jussie Smollett, gayer than a 5'3" Florida man? Hey. That is funny.
There's nothing more terrifying than imagining being trapped on a boat with a skunk.
Granny said there's nothing more terrifying than being trapped on a boat with a skunk. Oh, you fishing? Okay, you didn't catch anything. Gotcha. Next time, bring some dynamite. He'll take your back. You gotta crawl up him. That coffee's getting warm. Or cool. I don't know. I think I'd go overboard. Granny says, if you're trapped on a boat with a skunk, like, what do? You throw it overboard?
I think I would, yeah. I'd just take the skunk and
You just take the skunk in?
let him drown.
I feel like if there was a skunk on my boat, I would dock, and then I'd call animal control and have them deal with it. I wouldn't let it fucking drown.
9 miles offshore, you find a skunk in the cabin.
9 miles offshore, I find a skunk in the cabin. I'm going to dock.
Where's their dock 9 miles offshore?
I'm going back to shore.
9 miles?
Yes.
You're gonna get skunked all the hell.
Not if you don't fuck with it. I'll be driving the boat. Not fucking with the skunk in the boat. Or just leave him there. He'll leave when he wants to fucking
You
leave.
have found the skunk by being skunked. Now you have 9 miles offshore.
Yeah. If I got skunked by the skunk, I would travel back the 9 miles to shore and I would call animal control. I would not throw the skunk overboard and let it fucking drown.
I'm tired of this.
That skunk never did nothing. He's probably in your boat because he was trying to escape a predator or something, or he got confused. My stinky skunking ass is calling animal control. And then I'm gonna go take a bath in some tomato soup. I hate catching skunks in the live trap. I can imagine. That's like a for sure, you're definitely getting skunked. I've always kind of liked the smell of a skunk, but I've never been skunked. So, there's that. Michaela's in the wrong chat. I got you. Y'all go over there and give Gorndif a like. Oh, look. A finch. 3-day-old skunk stink ain't bad. Fresh out of the spigot is no bueno, though, okay? I bet it's thick. You been sprayed by a skunk? God help you. Are we waiting for somebody before we see ants? I'm waiting. Yes, we're waiting for Mikey Two Milks. Don't laugh. What are you laughing at? You laughing because I'm waiting for Mikey Two Milks to watch ants? Why? Why is that funny?
It's just a bizarre thing to hear.
It's a bizarre thing to hear out loud. We're waiting for Mikey Two Milks to watch ants. I got a couple other videos, though. Your dog got sprayed at 4:30 a.m. this morning? That sucks. I mean, any morning, really. That kind of sucks.
His balls in there? Mm-hmm. The craziest story I ever heard about a skunk was when we were in Minnesota.
He says the craziest story he ever heard about a skunk was in Minnesota.
Specifically with balls.
Specifically with balls.
Told us about a skunk
The guy told y'all about a skunk.
that ate all of the frozen outhouse leavings.
Ew, that ate all of the frozen outhouse leavings?
Yeah.
Ew. Ew. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Nasty. Nasty. Listen to all those guys. Oh my god.
And then it passed out.
Get shit on! Get shit on! You're ass! You're ass!
Good morning, consistent Mike.
Shut the fuck up! 1v1 me, you pussy! Pussy! Fucking 1v1 me! You piece of shit!
1v1 me, pussy. Pussy. Alright, let's watch something. Wait for ants. Let's see here. You want to see Brian wrecking a woman? I'm always down to watch that. Oh, Also, this one, Oliver Anthony humiliates his wife after she tries to take all of his shit. That's real shit. That's fucked up. Who is that, Granny? Yeah, he's over there. Alright, let's watch these stupid bitches get what for.
Like, if a woman is involved with another man, I know a lot of people move this way, maybe at this table, I don't know. But, like, you can't be doing the traditional thing or simping for a girl who, like in your case...
Okay.
You said you were out at a club or something, and you were on a date with a guy, and the guy a different guy, the night before, he walked over, I don't know if he said it to you or the dude, and he said something about, like, enjoy my seed inside your girl. I'm sorry, we can't be simping for women who are involved with other men. I think, but my other baseline, my other threshold is you can't be simping for a girl who's even romantically involved with another guy. My rule is if a girl wants to deal with me, there can't be other dudes in the picture. She has to give me her undivided romantic and sexual attention as quickly as possible.
And we know,
well, if she's involved, just to be clear, if she's even sexually involved with another dude, I don't want anything with her. Why are you laughing? Chill out, Chloe. Damn, chill out. Why are you sitting like that? That shit's crazy, son. Chill out, Chloe. So anyway.
She's chair 6 and 7, by the way.
Hold on. But anyways, chill out, Chloe. So anyways, look.
He's simping right now.
I'm not. What the fuck? I'm just saying, a lot of women, they're dealing with multiple dudes. You can't be doing anything with a girl. You can't even hold a girl's hand if she's dealing with another dude.
Guys are dealing with a bunch of...
I was about to say,
Are you kidding?
both ways.
It's
Well,
a double
Listen, I was raised a certain way, right? And this is like my brain. My brain is,
Tell us about your brain.
traditioned to like, or whatever, conditioned to believe a certain thing, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to break away from that because
Break that shit.
it's not making sense in today's age, right? Like, girls don't get out of high school and be like, oh, you can join college, you can go in the military, or like you can go do porn, right? Like no one says that. Like no one says like go, oh yeah, you could go do. Girls, literally like stripping. I don't know if can I say that?
That's fine.
Sorry.
That's not actually true. That's actually not true. What she just said. There's, you actually get kickbacks if you are a content creator for a certain website, OnlyFans, if you will. You actually get a kickback if you sign up a girl who just turned 18. Just saying. So you're wrong, bitch. You are wrong.
Yeah.
Like girls don't even do that anymore. It's like just immediately to OF. And like, do I 100% agree with that? No. But at the same time, like, it's making us a lot of money. And how are we making that money? The men. Like that, and the women. Everyone. All the consumers.
Right.
And they're all buying that.
So-
and guys have a bunch of girls, and girls have...
I don't have anything blocked. I don't have any words blocked. Not to my knowledge, anyway. I don't usually do that sort of thing. What are you trying to say here? Are you trying to talk about rape? Retardism? Racism? Jewish people? What are you trying to talk about? What are you trying to say, buddy? If you can't say a word in my chat, it's because YouTube won't let you say it, not me. It ain't me.
A bunch of guys, and
I'm
this
not-
is just a lying age, and that's what we're doing. We're all lying.
We
to
have
each
to
other.
reject that shit. We have to embrace masculinity and reject modernity. We have to reject that categorically. Promiscuity in men and women is bad. We need a return to masculinity. We need a return to femininity. And we're not going to have that when people are fucking a bunch of people. I'm saying,
I'm not 18, homie. You add about 30 years to that. No. 20 years. Add 20 years. I can't math.
saying this. If I'm going to
It's too late for me, dude.
date a girl and she's dating 3 other dudes, it's a wrap. I don't want anything to do with her. So when it comes to simping, right? Again, I think you should be head over heels for your girl.
Right.
But you can't be head over heels for some girl who's texting 20 other dudes and who's fucking 3 other dudes. If you're gonna be, have that love for a girl, or if you're gonna be providing, or you're gonna be protecting, it has to be your girl exclusively. You can't deal with some chick who's another dude. Point blank. Period. Thank you. Thank
Did
you.
I hear the word masculinity from both of you? Like when we're talking about this topic, like do you think it demasculines like them being like overly sexual or overly, simping or any of that stuff? Like does that show them as a man of some sort? Like
The way that I believe masculinity has to do with boundaries, right?
Okay.
So men defend boundaries and maintain boundaries. And I would say, as he was mentioning modernity, we live in a modernist period. And the whole project of progressivism is actually eroding distinctions and boundaries that our cultures typically upheld. And so that, by its nature, actually feminizes our culture and feminizes the men within.
I'm glad I made the cut, bro. For real. Really, really.
And I mean, when men go to battle in history, they're defending a boundary. It could be a territory, it could be their tribe, could be their women and their children. But that's what men are called to. Masculinity is about maintaining boundaries in a metaphysical sense, right? It can mean a lot of different things. And so we live in a period where there are no boundaries. There are no boundaries between men and women, right? Men now menstruate, right? Was what we're told. There's no boundaries between man and machine. There's no boundaries between man and animal. I mean, you have like Antifa saying, no border, no wall, no USA at all. This is a dissolution of national boundaries, of national identity and heritage, and so all of this stuff is eroded. And so the meaning crisis that people like Jordan Peterson and Paggio and Vervaeke are talking about is that men have no identity because there's no boundaries that actually conforms to them that they can defend and actually live within. And so this is where the loss of masculinity is, that there's no boundaries for men to actually defend. And a man's identity is about defending something. That's why when men have children or they get married, it gives them the sense of masculinity. Hopefully they live up to that role in a traditional Christian sense, because we have expectations on what that looks like.
and what is that? What's that role?
Oh, a protector, provider, and a spiritual leader. And it's not like your wife is your slave or something. You love her just like Christ loves the church. You love her in a loving way, and you care to her. You give her the opportunity for her to then express her femininity. And at least in my perspective, like the highest goal is not a career. My career is a way to provide for my family. And my wife, her highest goal is to have children and actually nurture that family and raise those kids. And so everything comes after that. Everything is a secondary effect that contributes to that. But just as we were talking about the boss babe and the money you make on OnlyFans and the alphavization of women, well, this is an inversion of roles, and it's tied with, again, the dissolution of boundaries through the sexual content and all this different stuff. So I think there's the larger problem with masculinity is men do not have boundaries in which they can have structural identity and actually defend something and be proud of something to give them some meaning in their life.
I do not want to be a boss babe at all. Like, I'm so submissive. Like, I do not want to be like the provider, even though I make a lot of money. Like, I just don't like that at all. So
I'd rather listen to 100 Jeff Dunhams than listen to that big titty bitch speak again.
well, I don't see like all of OnlyFans girls are boss babes.
Wait, can you move your mic to the edge of the table there?
Well, would you date a man that doesn't make the same amount of money as you?
No, he has to make more than me.
So, to the point is, that's what they were talking about, the difficulty of dynamic.
A lot of them are. A lot of them are Oscar Electric. What's up, Norm Diff? Why can't I see you? Oh, because I only have my top chat on. I'm an idiot. What's up, Norm Diff? Most of these chicks are OF girls. I'm positive Girl in the Red's an OF girl. I'm hoping that she's not. I mean, whatever floats your boat. I guess there's kinks for everybody. But this girl definitely, for sure. This girl right here.
With their relationships is that they tend to constantly be the providers, and it's difficult for them to find something that fits what they would feel more comfortable with. At least that was your kind of general contention. And so you're still, even though maybe you're submissive and you present yourself in, you know, very more feminine in certain ways, but still what you're doing as an industry and your OF being really the center of your life, you are a boss babe. You may not be the alphavization that they're talking about. You may not be like mute to your feelings or very stoic, but you're still kind of the boss babe that's making money, focused on her career, wanting to get clout. You're talking about clout chasing earlier, and all these things are contributing to the thing.
Well, yeah, most guys rebel against that notion because it's unnatural to not to. It's unnatural. I know there are so many caveats and shit and asterisks and whatnot, but a man wants to protect. You know, the majority of the guys have that thing in them. They got that dog in them. You know what I mean? We are a species on the earth, and with most species, there's a dominance thing. You know what I mean? This is my fucking territory. I will fight and die to protect it. You know what I mean? Why are all these men so metrosexual, unmanly losers? That's another reason I actually love whatever podcast. I like to see the men just as much as I like to see the women. It's fucking hilarious. Brian's a pussy. A huge one. The guy that heads up this whole fucking thing, he is a spaz, dude. I love it. I love it so much. I am so goddamn entertained. I make no apologies.
Well, yeah, I want to make a ton of money. Dating or married,
I hate it.
He's gonna have to make way more money.
But don't you see that as that journey progresses for you, that's going to be much more difficult for the window and selection of men that you're going to be able to have.
Keep going. Sorry, I was just making a...
I'm just saying, the more money you make and the more you go down this journey, the pool of eligible men that would fit any category that you would want is become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
And you gotta stop fucking rappers. You're fucking too many rappers.
I literally fucked one.
That's one too many.
And he's rich as fuck.
Still too many. One too many. If you fucked a rapper, it's over. You know, we were talking about this. Maybe it was 2 episodes ago. When it comes to like body count, I call it. You know, I've not quite given it the best title
I
yet.
don't have a high body count. I have less than 6.
But see, here's where I'm getting to. Here's where I'm getting to. Okay, Chloe. Take some notes.
What's up, Mr. Smith?
Body count qualifier. So,
I haven't seen her in this one.
The body, the specific body. I'm not saying the goopy gravy. What's his name? What's his name?
Young Gravy.
What's it? Young Gravy. Sorry, I don't think it's biscuits and gravy. Gravy.
Wet biscuit.
Gravy. I'm not saying that's the case for him, but certain dudes have a multiplier next to their body. So like if a girl fucks a grimy dude, that might as well be like 10 bodies. Like that, your body count is not, let's say she fucked one grimy dude and that's it. She doesn't have a body count of 1. She has a body count of at least 10. Now, she hasn't fucked 10 dudes, but like, her body
boy math
count is 1. Her body count is 1, but like the multiplier is 10.
I don't agree. As long as you're like clean and like.
No.
I don't agree.
It's like, even if you don't have an STD, what I'm trying to say is if a girl fucked like the night.
It is wrong, Oscar Electric. It is wrong. However, I can't say I don't disagree. Or I can't say I disagree. I can't say that I disagree. That was a double negative.
Nice guy next door.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't be too heartbroken to find out. I'm just saying.
And he's like, I don't know, fucking virgin, whatever. Whatever.
I'm saying if she and Jeff Dunham were both dangling off of a cliff and I had to save only one of them, I'm sorry, but I'm picking Jeff Dunham. I'm picking Jeff Dunham. I can't believe I'm saying that. People are stupid. If I fuck Bonnie Blue or Diddy, that's a hell of a... That's not like tagging the woman next door, maybe. Well, I feel like if you fuck Bonnie Blue... I don't know. They always used to tell us if you sleep with somebody, you're basically sleeping with everybody that they have slept with. So, I don't know. That's a lot of dicks. That's a lot of dicks, balls. Louis C.K. does a bit on this kind of girl. When you're like 15, you're like, she's an angel. But when you're older, you're like, what the fuck are you even? Yeah. Yes. Yes. I can't stand it. I can't and you know it's fake, man. Like, why do you want to sound like a baby? Riddle me that. Why do you think it's sexy to sound like a baby? That's fucking gross. All right, I'm gonna get mad. I'm about to get mad. Gross. Nasty bitches. All right, you guys know what this Labubu doll is? I've been seeing it everywhere. I kind of don't even want to watch this. It kind of gives me Furby vibes. And I don't like that. You know, I love the fact that Oscar Electric has no idea about Bonnie Blue. Oh, good God. I don't know anybody that does. And you're a male. Run your way to the medicine cabinet and empty every bottle inside of it. Let me tell you something. I'm glad you don't know who Bonnie Blue is. I'm glad there's somebody out there who doesn't know who Bonnie Blue is. Keep your mind pure. Because that is nasty. That makes me lose hope for, like... I don't know, it just makes me lose some kind of hope. I don't like to think that there are people out there that, like, target married men and barely legal boys. That rubs me the wrong way, man. Back to work. Have a great day, everyone, says Mr. Smith. You too, man. I hope your day is productive. I hope you get through this day like it was a breeze. Potsy, Bonnie Blue's that chick that fucked over 1,000 dudes in 24 hours. That chick. The chick with the hollowed out pussy and the long labia. Down to her knees, boys. At least that's what I hear. I'm not even being hyperbolous, Potsy. She fucked like 157 dudes, or 1,057 dudes in 24 hours. That's what her pussy sounded like afterwards.
In the age of TikTok trends and viral superstition, few things travel faster than a spooky story. Enter the Labubu doll craze, an internet-fueled panic claiming that ancient...
I already hate this. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. Let's go ahead and do the creationist propaganda textbook.
You know it. You love it.
Again, this was my textbook. I learned from this exact textbook. This exact textbook. This is my high school textbook. Not the physical one. Over 1,000 in 24 hours. It was like 1,057, if my memory serves me correctly. That's a lot of dick. That is miles and miles of dick.
Many years ago, in the year of our Lord, 2022, I had a P.O. box open. A place where viewers could send me nice little things that they made, you know, letters, drawings, stuff like that. But every once in a while, a viewer thought that it was the perfect opportunity to send me something to make me suffer. And it was a certain Jay Bergman in August of 2022 who decided it would be a wonderful idea to send me this. The Science of the Physical Creation in the Christian Perspective. It's exactly what it looks like. It's a creationist science textbook, if you can even use those two words in the same sentence. And for almost 3 years, it's been sitting on my shelf, looking at me. There's an evil energy that radiates out of this book, and it's been calling me towards it like the One Ring. So today, ladies and gentlemen, it is I guess it's not really a great pleasure. It is with my deepest condolences that I must present to you this. Buckle up, fellas. It's gonna be one of those videos.
What's up, Rev Maynard Buff? This is really good. I've already watched this. I watched it as it came out as a premiere because I could not wait. Could not wait. It's so good. It's so good. It did give me a bit of PTSD a little bit, but it also like cured some of my PTSD a little bit.
All right, I feel like I probably should address the elephant in the room first, which is, you know, everything. You guys have seen my studio before. It's a little bit rough. As I've talked about, this is a really old house. It was built in like 1880 something. So there's a lot of work to be done, especially in this formerly beautiful room that's now my studio. So we're actually beginning that restoration process now, and in doing that, this is happening. You know the ceiling? You guys love my ceiling. Well, my ceiling is coming the fuck down. Currently, as I film this, directly off screen here it's actually kind of amazing that this manages to be off screen, but there is about 36 trash bags completely filled with squirrel shit infused rotting fiberglass insulation. So that's really nice, I guess. It's got a certain je ne sais quoi. It's got a certain, I don't know how you say squirrel shit in French.
Merde d'écureuil.
My team and I are working on a really big project right now. No, not Atlantis. I know, I'm working on it. I swear to God, it's every video with you people. Don't worry, Atlantis is coming. When it does, you'll know. You can't miss it, all right? I'll make sure you don't miss it. And if any of you do, I'm gonna be livid. But my team and I...
Also, Atlantis: The Lost Empire is my favorite Disney movie in the world. It's rated PG-13. I think it's rated PG. It's either PG or PG-13. A lot of really violent shit happens in that movie. A lot. Also, it's almost a fucking exact animated replica of one of my favorite movies in the whole world, which is Stargate. Watch Stargate and then watch Atlantis: The Lost Empire and tell me that they aren't the exact same fucking movie. I'll tell you, you're a liar.
We are working on sort of similar to like the Philip Ziva videos from last year, where we're looking at a particular account and going into it more deep than we ever would want to. But a large part of the account that we're going to be talking about is creationism. So I thought that today would be a great day to rip this bad boy open. I broke out my nice little stand here. Check this out. It's an old lectern I got it at an antique store, and I got this. A cosmic little thing IPA from Sierra Nevada, not sponsored. Though I should probably get a beer sponsorship. That's a kind of a gimme. You may be thinking to yourself, oh, look, Milo, another fucking hipster. He loves his IPAs. No, I actually hate IPAs. But I'm man enough to admit that I'm not drinking an IPA because I like it. I'm drinking it because it's 8% and I have to talk about a creationist textbook. All right, I even have a secondary camera here. Look at that. Big YouTube guy has 2 tripods and 2 cameras. I don't know why I didn't say that. That's actually way more of a, that's not really a flex, I guess. I'm a YouTube guy. What the fuck else would I do with my time and energy? All right, we're live on this little camera. Wow. Oh yeah, that actually looks great. Now you can see the floor that's covered in, you know.
Merde d'écureuil.
Okay, why don't we have a look at this book? Oh, I forgot, I don't even need to hold it up because I have a secondary camera. I am literally the smartest person probably ever. So a surprising amount of this book is like actual textbook, which kind of threw me for a loop. You know, when I see a book that leads with science of the physical creation in Christian perspective, I kind of assume that there's going to be a lot more creation science woven through it. And don't get me wrong, there is, but there's also a lot of just like general science knowledge, you know? I think the best way to illustrate this is by looking at the table of contents. Here we have, you know, general introduction to the sciences, and then we have our meteorology sections, and within each one
I'm pretty sure this feller's gay, Oscar Electric, if I had to guess. Also, not the kind of man I'd go for, really. His hands look a bit soft. Just a bit.
There's definitely a lot of, you know, creationism, but there's...
He looks like he moisturizes, and that's just not the kind of man for me.
some things that creationism just doesn't really work with. You know, it'll explain how an El Nino event works, and it's not going to say, like, the El Nino is created by God. It's just a weather pattern, so they actually explain it in an actual way. So as you won't be surprised, you know, the places that really have the most, you know, creationism in it comes in our chemistry and geology sections. Now, I'm not a chemist. In fact, I loathe chemistry so much that I failed it the first time I took it. I am literally the smartest person probably ever. So there is nothing on earth that I want to do less than read about chemistry, and especially read about chemistry from a creationist textbook. So instead, I want to really hone in on probably the juiciest part of this book, which is obviously the natural sciences section, and most specifically, this section right here, chapter 11 on interpreting the fossil record. Within it are 3 different subchapters: history of the earth, the record of the rocks, effects of the flood, lack of transitional forms, evidence against evolution, and the evolution of man, a mistaken belief. So we are in for a real doozy with this one. Okay, real quick also, before we...
I actually, I went on Shuli's one time. Shuli knew. I went on Shuli's one time, and they asked me about that specifically, like what kind of foreplay I was into and whatever, you know, being a female on the internet and all. Yeah, I get the standard questions. And there's a clip of me out there now, I'm pretty sure Husey has it, of me being like, yeah, don't fuck around with foreplay. It's a waste of time. Just throw me on the bed. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Get yourself some, and then let's get on with our fucking day. Yeah, there's actually documented evidence of me saying just that.
To get into this, I want to make one thing very, 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 very abundantly clear here at the beginning of this video. This is not an attack on religion. This is not an attack on Christianity. This is not an attack on faith or God or any of that. TLDR, in case you don't know what creationism is, God love you. I'm unfortunately about to strip that blissful ignorance away from you. Creationism is the idea that the world and all the creatures on it were created in their current form by the Abrahamic God. There's a woodchuck in my yard. Okay, atheists, you say that God didn't create the world and all the creatures on it. Why is there a woodchuck in my yard? Anyway, it's the belief that the world and all of the creatures on it were created in 7 literal days by the Abrahamic God. Oftentimes, creationist beliefs go hand in hand with the denial of many different branches of science. Everything from biology to chemistry, geology, and most of the natural sciences. This is because a general understanding of what we know about all of those fields disproves the fact that the Earth is 6,000 years old. Now, this is where it's very important for me to add that most religious people and most Christians are not creationists. Creationists make up a very small subset of that. You do not have to be a creationist in order to be a Christian. And if you are a Christian, you don't have to be a creationist. You are completely able to accept and understand all of the beauty and science of this world and still be able to believe in a higher power and a creator. So none of this video is an attack on anyone's faith. We are here to talk just about actual science. And that goes for everyone watching this video who doesn't believe in creationism. Don't, for the love of whatever God there may be, turn this into an opportunity to be like,
normdiff. I just see N and diff. So normdiff. He's talking about this creationist textbook, and this is an actual textbook that I had to learn from when I went to a fundamentalist Southern Baptist school. A lot of Christian homeschoolers also read from this book. So he's somebody sent it to him a couple years ago, so now he's finally doing a YouTube video about it, which is it's totally worth the watch too. It's great.
Religion bad. It is mega cringe. I don't want to see it. Fucking stop it. Don't do that shit, all right? It's not 2013 anymore. Anyway, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive right into this. Chapter 11, Interpreting the Fossil Record with the History of the Earth. It is so hot in here. I also just need to say that. That's another reason we're ripping the goddamn ceiling out, because it is. You guys thought I didn't have my thermometer, did you? You see that? Took it off the wall because I'm like, I'm gonna need that. And then I did. Quick drawed it on you. I quick drooled on you. Pause. Okay, yeah, it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit in here, so that's nice. I love that for most of the year this room is, you know, completely unlivable because it's too cold, and then for the rest of the year it's completely unlivable because it's too hot. Conflicting views of the beginning. That God is the creator of this world is an undeniable truth. Can't argue with that, I guess. That's your truth. It's a lowercase t truth. It's like Speak your truth, Queen. The founders of modern science supported the truth of creation, and the laws and principles of science also affirm it. Nevertheless, many scientists today have rejected creation. Instead, they credit chance, time, and energy with the origin of the universe and all that makes up the physical world. The belief that the universe and all that is in it originated by natural processes over billions of years is referred to as evolution. Contrasted with evolution is the biblical principle of special creation. Instead of relying upon thoughtless chance, time, and energy, special creation depends on a creator, the omnipotent, all-powerful, and omniscient, all-wise God.
Oh, Oscar Electric. I went to public school my entire life up until 9th grade, okay? Public school. Like, 6th grade, kids were blowing each other in the bathroom and shit, you know what I mean? Sneaking drugs to school. 6th grade, going to their lockers, drinking some of the Hypnotic they have stashed away in a Gatorade bottle. You know what I mean? Shit like that. So, when I hit 9th grade, and I go from a class of... I don't know how many people were in my 8th grade class, about 1,500, to there's about 127 kids in the entire school when I hit high school. And that's K through 12. 120 some odd kids, K through 12, once I hit high school. I got kicked out of Bible class several times. Just for asking questions. Just for asking questions. Simple questions. One time, I had accidentally left my Bible notebook in that little basket under the chair, and I had doodled a guy drinking from a gas can, and on the side I said, "Quench my thirst with gasoline. You know, give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire." I accidentally left it in my Bible class in the basket. My Bible teacher found it and told all the underclassmen that I was literally the devil. I bucked. And they couldn't do anything about it because my stepdad made a shitload of money and donated a shitload of money to the school. So me and my sister pretty much got to do whatever the fuck we wanted. It was awesome. I didn't take advantage. I did take advantage. But only for, like, that Metallica concert that I went to. You know, I should have been expelled for sure. But, it is what it is. Your dad fucking donates $500 to the Booster Club every quarter, buys the varsity football team all new fucking uniforms, plus the cheerleaders. Bought them uniforms too, new ones. My dad made money, dude, and donated a shitload to the school, so we felt untouchable. Untouchable. It was great. I actually really enjoyed going to that school, if I'm being honest. It was a completely different experience than what I was used to. You know, it was a complete culture shock. I lived with my dad until I was 15, until I hit high school. I lived with my dad in Arizona, and then when I hit high school, I lived with my mom in Florida. When I was with my dad, I shared a room with 2 other siblings. So there was 3 girls in one room. When I hit my mom's house at 15, I got my own goddamn room. I got my own room, dude. I got my own wing of the house. It was fucking dope. Culture shock, though. Culture shock for sure. It's a lot of fun, though.
I'm just saying right now, not to throw shade at the big G up there or anything, but if he was all wise and all powerful, why the fuck did he make us eat and breathe through the same tube? That seems like a bit of a design flaw. Unless, I guess we were created in his image, so he also has the design flaw. Maybe that makes me feel a little better, actually.
I wasn't untouchable from my parents. I got punished for doing bad things, for sure, you know. But I felt untouchable at my school. I really did. But again, I really didn't take advantage of it. I was a good kid. I wasn't rebellious. I was curious more than anything, you know. I never snuck out of the house. I never did anything like that. I never lied about where I was going to be, you know. I never really even left the house. I've been an introvert my whole life, dude. I'd really rather just sit in my room and watch South Park than, like, go out with my friends.
Special creation refers to God's work of calling the universe and all that is in it into existence ex nihilo, out of nothing. This is a really good example between sort of the difference between, you know, scientific consensus and faith. And again, nothing wrong with faith, but here they're trying to imply that somehow thoughtless chance, time, and energy is a worse explanation than Magic Guy went, I don't know, and maybe it's just because I'm not like a religious person, so I'm not steeped in this, but like, isn't that like more of a stretch to try and understand than evolution happening? Call me crazy, I don't know. Theistic evolution is a modified form of evolutionary hypothesis which attempts to reconcile the Bible and evolution. According to this view, God created all living things through a process of evolution. This theory states that God was responsible for the initial creation of life, but then employed the evolutionary process to complete his work. Although some Christians accept this view, most realize that it is not compatible with the biblical record or the established principles of science. I don't know if it's incompatible with the Bible because I'm not as well versed in that. Genesis 6:4 and Numbers 13:33. Those are both numbers, yeah. Book of Numbers? That's crazy. I thought that was called the Yellow Pages. But I would also say that I don't think that's necessarily incompatible with the established principles of science. It is a little bit of a God of the gaps where it's kind of like, because we don't know exactly what the moment was that life was created, you could just say that God did that, and then evolution explains the rest. So if that's where you want to believe in God, sure. That means at least you're not denying evolution, which is quite literally undeniable. I'm sure there's going to be some people who disagree with that. I don't know how they've made it this far, which would be pretty amazing. Thank you for giving this a chance if you've made it this far and, you know, don't believe in evolution. But I promise you, it literally is. Like, we have an extensive fossil record that shows the evolution of organisms. There's that fucking woodchuck again. Oh my God, he's so cute. He's so round. Can I get a photo of him? He's just going to look like kind of a brown ball on the yard. Okay, let's talk a little bit about geology. We must understand and acknowledge that man has been an observer of the Earth's history only since his creation, and that modern science has been studying the Earth for only 400 years or so. Geologists are therefore limited to observing the Earth as it is today. They cannot speak authoritatively about the Earth as it was in the beginning or in ages past. Therefore, science cannot make authoritative statements about the origins of the Earth. This is just not even true. That's just what geologists do. I don't even know how to it's debunked by the mere existence of modern geology. Another big thing that this book delves into is the classic kind of creationist talking point of complaining about uniformitarianism, which is the idea in geology that the processes we see before us today have always been the same, for the most part, for all of Earth's history. And so we can use the geologic and hydrologic processes we see on Earth today to explain the conditions of the Earth in the past. Creationists don't really like this, because in order for the Earth to have ended up looking like this in just, a handful of thousands of years, processes would have needed to have acted completely differently in the not too distant past. So yeah, of course these processes take place at different rates in different areas, but no shit. If Mount St. Helens had erupted 1 million years ago, the exact same thing would have happened to the ash that would happen right now. And geologists, get this, would be able to apply what happens in front of us right now to understand that volcanic eruption 1 million years ago. So they would find the compressed rock that is made out of the ash from that volcano that maybe has a canyon through it, and they would know to themselves, this was probably formed rather quickly because it was volcanic ash, because it works the same way now. While this misunderstanding is obviously goofy, it may kind of seem like it doesn't really matter, because it's like, well, what's the big implication here? Well, here's the big implication here. Oh, the battery died. Girl, you've been here for fucking 20 minutes. I need you to relax. Oh yeah, baby. Got my 75-foot-long extension cord for a reason. See? This is why God created the 75-foot-long extension cord. Few geologists dispute the strata surrounding the Grand Canyon were laid down by the sea, but many geologists dispute the length of time that was required for the layers to be deposited. They really don't. Or if they do, it's within a reasonable geologic time span. They're not disputing it in the same way that these people are disputing it. Uniformitarian geologists believe that the sea may have covered Arizona several times over millions of years, and that the strata were deposited during these inundations. They say that millions of years of subsequent erosion by the Colorado River carved the canyon, but many Bible-believing scientists believe that the Grand Canyon strata were deposited by the worldwide flood described in the Bible, and that the canyon itself was cut quickly by runoff from the flood. So that's why this is important, people, because what the fuck? If all of this sediment was deposited in one event, it would probably be, get this, pretty uniform, because it was one event worth of sediment that was all deposited at once. So you might get some changes, but you're not going to get this layer cake like you do with the Grand Canyon. You know why? Because that same process is happening today. It's called uniformitarianism. So I don't know what this argument is. We have extensive geologic knowledge about the Grand Canyon. It is probably the single most well-studied geologic feature on the entire planet. So pretty much just saying nuh-uh is not going to cut it here. Sorry. After this, it moves to a really great little section called Bible-believing scientists of the past, to show that, you know, many of the greatest scientists of the past were creationists, and for that matter, were also Bible-believing Christians. They believed that God had supernaturally created all things, each with its own complex structure for its own unique process, or its own unique purpose. I can't read. The thing that I just want to point out is in this gigantic list of all of these scientists, pretty
What's up, AJ? Good morning. Sorry to start your morning off like that. Isn't that crazy? AJ, this was my textbook in high school. They taught us this. They legit taught us this. We were tested on this, and we got credits for this.
much all of them end
in science, not Bible.
By like the very early 1900s. There's one that's John A. Fleming and electronics from 1849 to 1945, and as far as I can see, that is the most recent of any of the people on this list. There's ones in here that are from fucking 1570. Johannes Kepler. Are we surprised at all that a guy in 1570 was a creationist? It gets really funny to be like, see guys, look at all these dudes that were creationists, and then just refer to a time in history where it was the best understanding that we had of the world because we hadn't discovered science yet. It's like, no shit. Wow, Blaise Pascal, you were born in 1623 and died in 1662. Why didn't you believe in evolution? Okay, chapter 11.2, the record of the rocks. So this chapter starts off with giving a definition of what fossils are, which is very helpful, and then it moves to talking about how a fossil is formed. In order for a plant or animal to become a fossil, it must be protected from scavengers and decomposition. Most of the time, this occurs when the organism is quickly buried by waterborne sediments. What do you think they're going to say next? Drumroll, please. Conditions like those we would expect to be present upon the Earth during and immediately following a worldwide flood.
Kaboom. Oscar Electric says, I love people who are so small-minded that think that there's someone floating in the sky watching over them. I would counter that statement with, I think it's small-minded that we are the most evolved beings in our universe. That there isn't something floating around out there that is maybe just a bit more powerful. I'm not saying the Judeo-Christian God of the Bible is real. I don't believe that at all. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. However, it's hard for me to think that we're the only, or that we're the most powerful, or the smartest, or the most advanced, you know? I kind of go back and forth between there's something out there and there's nothing out there. You know what I mean? The Fermi paradox thingy. I don't know. I go back and forth wondering about those sorts of things. But I've said this before and I'll say it a million times again. When it comes to the whole is there a God, is there not a God thing, I've landed on I don't know. I don't know. Do I have a spirit that will float away somewhere after my fucking meat bag gives out? I don't know. I don't know. So I'm not even gonna try to make the best of this situation. I'm just gonna exist as I was meant to be. And that's it. And that's it. I have no illusions of grandeur after I die. If there's something and I experience it, cool. Cool beans, I guess. But if there's nothing and I experience nothing after I die, then I guess that's cool too. You know, it's just the way. It just is. I'm just saying.
Obviously, Christian geologists and uniformitarian geologists have different views about the fossil record. Uniformitarian geologists interpret the fossils of the Earth's crust as evidence of evolution. They believe that the fossil record demonstrates a progression of simple organisms to a more complex organisms over millions of years. Like, that's just exactly what it shows. We literally have hundreds of millions of years of evolution shown in rock layers, where we can see organisms changing over time. So it's not just like a belief. Like, you look at that, and what the fuck else are you going to explain about it? See, that's another thing I'm noticing here, is they'll kind of like invoke the Bible and then say, you know, scientists believe this dumbass shit, and they don't really explain how the Bible is supposed to explain the thing that they're poo-pooing because it's incompatible with the Bible. Isn't this a fucking textbook? Shouldn't this be explaining shit to me and not just making me be more confused? Here it moves into complaining about the geologic column. The idea that older stone and organisms are found lower and, you know, it gets younger as you go up, for the most part. Obviously, things change and the Earth moves, but that's the general trajectory. The geologic column, Earth's shaky foundation. Holy shit, that's good. We got a graph of the geologic column, and one of the values is called assumed events. These include primitive apes, whales, first modern mammals, giant insects, first reptiles, extinction of trilobites, you know, but we're just fucking guessing. It's like, oh, we have a bunch of rocks all stacked on top of each other where there's trilobites that all look a little bit different throughout time, and then they disappear and there's none here today. Complete
Thank you,
conjecture.
Lemmy.
Let's just
This-
assume they evolved.
This cock
Although
shot's
it is
for you.
presented as
Thank you, Lemmy.
Yo, Astra,
cock
what's
shot's
up,
for you.
dude? Thank you so much for the resub, motherfucker. You freaking G? You G? You capital G. We're watching that video about that textbook that I had to learn out of when I was in high school. Our buddy Mini Minute Man did a whole episode on it, and we're watching it, dude. You did not miss Ants. We're waiting on Mikey. Mikey, wake up.
Conclusive evidence for evolution, the geologic column crumbles upon closer inspection. The first problems with the geologic column is that the succession of fossils it indicates occurs nowhere in the world. There is not a place on the Earth where you can see the complete geologic column at one time.
Oh my god. I can't believe that they give this to children. I can't believe they give this to children. These are the...
Oh, he's at work? Okay. Cool beans. Cool beans. Rev Maynard Buff says, I got in trouble and thrown out of Bible study as a youth as well for asking questions. Never stopped me from going back to church and asking those same questions. It was just the school, and if they weren't happy, you were basically cut off from others. I've seen that happen. It happened to me, for sure. I think it's when you like, it's just like with any other school. You know what I mean? They don't really have the time nor the patience to like one-on-one ask or answer your questions because they don't have the answer. If it's not in the curriculum, they don't fucking know. They don't know. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Same people that talk about, they fucking complain about indoctrination, and then they give this to children. Okay, this is a photo of the geologic column. This is what they're talking about. You've seen this image before. It shows life changing through time. That's because this is a fucking diagram depicting life all over the world. This is life on Earth as it evolved and changed throughout time. Nowhere on the fucking planet has all of this, because how the fuck would you get all of this in one place? We know this column because you're pulling from different places all over the planet at different time periods because they're only preserved in different places around the world. I'm crashing out over a book about creationism. So when you find a really good fossil record from a certain area, it's normally only for a certain time span. I just did a video on the La Brea tar pits. You should go check it out. It's like a great window into like a time period of about 10,000 years ago to about 40,000 years ago. That's it. If you go to the La Brea tar pits, you're not going to find a fucking, like, you know, T-Rex in it. It then talks about radiometric dating. It's going to do the classic thing that every pseudoscientist does, where they claim that radiometric dating doesn't work, they claim that radiocarbon dating doesn't work. Pretty much anything that's able to disprove their idea, they're just like, nuh-uh. So, no, bullshit.
My school straight up absolutely taught us that the carbon dating process was not legit.
Radiometric dating does work. Another problem within the geologic column are that fossils are commonly found in the wrong order and apparently undisturbed strata. Either the rocks contain fossils they should not contain, according to the geologic column, or they do not contain the proper sequence of fossils that they should contain. Do you want to give an example of that? Oh, pseudoarchaeology! Holy shit! Yo, this is going to be sick. Examples of misplaced fossils would include fossil plant remains found in the wrong strata. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Who could forget the fossil plant remains found in the wrong strata? Modern horses found alongside or beneath their ancestors, and trilobites found in later eras. Do we want to know anything about the deposition here? Is this in flowing water? There's all kinds of geologic processes that can move things around. You guys say old on the bottom, young on the top. Anything in between that is a proof that you're wrong. It's like, no, we well know that things can move. Geology is rocks fucking moving and shit. So yeah, sometimes things can get mixed up. That's not like a 100% law that old is always on the bottom and young is on the top. Among the most interesting anomalies, however, are human fossils, prints, and artifacts found in the wrong strata, because evolutionists believe that modern humans appeared less than 200,000 years ago. These apparent anomalies pose serious problems for the evolutionary timeline. Among these anomalies are human skulls found in seemingly undisturbed ancient rocks. In the 1800s, full human skulls were unearthed and in undisturbed Pleistocene strata in Casanodolo,
Pliocene.
Italy. That is the Casanodolo skull. It is on the Awful Archaeology Wheel of Pain. I'm not going to go into all these examples because all they're doing is taking little individual discoveries, and they're like, see? That was a little bit different than the order that they say it is. Even though every single archaeologist or geologist or paleontologist know that there's going to be a little plus minus, and they actually work to explain those discrepancies instead of using a
I was doing this long before I ever knew what the Dabbleverse was, Oscar Electric. Long.
single discrepancy as an excuse to wave away an entire field of science that is well established.
If you want to thank anybody for me sitting here, you can thank Bubba the Love Sponge and Jake Hudson.
But this is just classic pseudoscience, where they pick one thing where they're like, see, here was a time science was wrong about a thing, or here's a way it's very slightly different in a nuanced way. And therefore, here is your right to wave away all of the science that challenges your worldview. Okay, effects of the flood. We can be sure that the flood occurred as the Bible tells us, but we cannot determine the exact
Actually, also, you can thank Aaron Imholt, because it's his community that makes up a good portion of my community. So there's that, too. Explain Bubba the Love Sponge? Oh, boy. Okay. Back when the shock jockery was a big deal, Bubba the Love Sponge is like a fat Howard Stern who's a lot more white trash and not Jewish. Yeah, he's good friends with Hulk Hogan, and he let Hulk Hogan fuck his wife. I guess they recorded it, and Bubba brought the tapes to his office. The tapes were stolen, sold to Gawker. Bubba sued, or Hulk Hogan sued Gawker. There's a whole fucking thing about it. Oh, how am I tied to Bubba? My old man was their number one caller. Him and Tampa Terry fought a lot. I don't know if you used to watch a while back, but Granny Loves Anal used to call in to Bubba the Love Sponge a lot. And I'm his old lady. I actually, I created a Twitch profile just so I could watch Bubba on Twitch. And then Bubba got hooked up with the Steel Toe crew, and I started watching Steel Toe, and then I started watching I'm Not Right Network. I'm actually not sure if I started watching. I think I started watching I'm Not Right Network before Steel Toe. But yeah. And then I started making emotes for different content creators, and somebody was like, it'd be cool if you streamed making emotes. So I did that for a minute or two, and then I realized that I can't make emotes and pay attention to the chat. So I just started playing copywritten music and shit. I've been doing this for like 4 years. Something like that.
logical effects of the flood upon the earth from reading the scriptural account. Too bad no...
Oh, that's right. I went from Bubba to Cluster F. I was part of their community for a while. Because I'm a fan of the underdog. And I started watching Bubba, like, regularly when Manson left. I'm Not Right is how we found Cardiff Electric. That's right. That's right. Cardiff Electric. This is the most superior podcast on the internet today. I fucking love it.
But didn't save any of the geology.
5 years. It's been 84 years.
Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff talking about Noah's Ark. Thrilling. The Ark was designed to hold a pair of every kind, not necessarily species, of animal on Earth. That's a dick move. Okay, wow, that's just 4 pages explaining Noah's Ark and saying that it happened because the story of Noah's...
You unfortunately can't get a copy of it because the guy's podcast, Patrick Welsh, he actually got kicked off of Twitch, so all of his stuff is gone. But Cardiff Electric used to call into I'm Not Right Network a lot, and Patrick would make it a point to not hang up on Cardiff. He let Cardiff talk as long as he wanted. As long as he wanted. And I actually got to be on I'm Not Right Network with Granny when Cardiff Electric called. And he said I was a pretty lady. 5 years, consistency is amazing. Yep. 5 years. I've been doing this every morning. Every now and again, I'll skip days. I'll skip days every now and again. But I really try not to. I streamed through COVID. I streamed through a devastating foot injury. Got it. You gotta love it. It's amazing. I love Cardiff, but boy, has he got a little full of himself lately. Well, shit. Chad's out there posting pictures of his face and shit. I'd be a little uppity, too, if I were a potato in this land. I've given Cardiff a few spy reports. Nice. Spy report. I love Cardiff. I consider myself one of the very, very first Cardiff Electric fans. I've always... From the first time I ever heard him call, I was like, I fucking love this guy. Everybody hated him. Oh, Pat got the boot a while ago, AJ. A while. I have 2 recordings right now I got from a very good friend of mine. Stuttering John reached out within the last 4 weeks to ask this girl if she'd like to hang out. I can only imagine what she said, how horrified he was to even ask. I figured, Oscar. All right, let's get through this.
So that's good enough evidence for me. Geologists recognize that floods and other catastrophes have been part of Earth's history.
What's up, Megan? Morning.
Understanding that something we see today has been able to happen for all of Earth's history. I don't know. I heard that whatever it is doesn't exist, though, so it must be different. Thus far, however, most uniformitarian geologists are not ready to admit to the fact of the Genesis worldwide flood. Admit to the fact. Like, they know, they just don't want to admit it, you know? Oh, man, this raises my blood pressure. The very existence of a fossil implies catastrophic burial. This is true because in order for a fossil to form, it must be buried quickly before it decays and its bones are scattered or decomposed. As a rule, conditions conducive to quick burial occur only in catastrophic events such as volcanic eruptions, landslides, mudflows, or floods. Not necessarily. It could also be falling in a river and being covered by sediments. It can be sinking to a bottom of a lake and being covered by sediments. It does not have to be catastrophic, but they are saying this in order to prime the pump to think that the only way fossils are able to form is from one gigantic, like fucking Michael Bay-ass movie event. Lack of transitional forms. Oh my god.
Oh, this is good.
Have you guys seen that clip from, what is it from? Is it Futurama?
Why has no one found the missing link between modern humans and ancient apes?
We did find it. It's called Homo erectus.
No one has found the link between apes and this Homo erectus.
It's called Homo habilis.
Aha! But no one has found the missing link between ape and the so-called Homo habilis.
It's called Australopithecus africanus.
Oh, I've got you now.
Do you not fucking see the general trend line here? The fossil records contain no such progression. If evolution were true, if organisms have gradually changed into other organisms over time, there would be many fossils of intermediate forms, but this is not the case.
Oh my god. It's just so sad watching someone try and talk about science when it's not even that they don't understand it. I mean, they don't understand it, but they just don't want to understand it. Yet not one transitional fossil has been found. What the fuck do you want a transitional fossil to be? Do you want like a fucking half lizard and then the other half is like that woodchuck in my yard or something like that? Like, what are you expecting from a transitional fossil? I mean,
yeah, that is what I want.
This is just a Archaeopteryx. I love Archaeopteryx. A fossil bird is a link between reptiles and birds. A closer look at Archaeopteryx, however, reveals that it was evidently a true bird, with completely modern flight, feathers, and hollow bones like most birds today. It did have some unusual features, such as a small breastbone, teeth, an elongated tail, and claws on its wings, but several birds, including some still alive today, share many of these features. So you're saying that this is a fucking transitional fossil?
It's literally the thing you're asking for. It's not a true bird. It's an ancient bird that has some characteristics of fucking reptiles that aren't seen in a lot of birds today because most of them don't have those anymore because they've changed. What the fuck? Okay, species versus kind. The biblical kind is usually a broader category than our modern term species. For example, it is likely that the gray wolf, the red wolf, the coyote, the dingo, and the domestic dog, 5 different species, all belong to the same biblical kind, and that they are all trace their lineage to a single pair of canines. Creationists recognize that the origin of new species within a kind does occur. The origin of new species within a kind, however, is not the same thing as changing one kind into another. What? So, hold on. Okay. So, you believe that gray wolves...
Not even kidding. This was me in science. Reading this, we're going like, wait. Hold on a second. So you're telling me Earth is 6,000 years old. Is that what you're telling me right now?
Coyotes, dingoes, and all the different types of domestic dogs came from one canine. Yeah? And it was through a process called evolution. How the fuck? So if they acknowledge that that's possible to happen, why the fuck would it be wrong to say that that's always been happening? Oh my fucking god. Okay, you know what? That camera's dead. I'm charging that camera now. Fucking, we're gonna just roll with this. All right.
What's up, you? Good morning. Speaking of I'm Not Right Network, he does stream on Rumble, but he probably won't be live until after July 31st. Word. It is summer. He does have a bunch of kids. I wouldn't blame him. He's probably doing fun stuff.
We're gonna breeze through this last little section because I'm getting real fucking sick of this. The evolution of man, a mistaken belief. I'm gonna just go to the bold thing that's sticking out to me. No missing links in the supposed chain of human evolution have been found. Okay, but they have though. We have a really good chain of the human evolutionary tree. We know how this works. I know I said my whole thing about transitionary species earlier, but as far as like the missing link, we found a shit ton. Play the fucking
this cock shots for you.
You, thank you, dude, for the resub. You're the man. You're the man, dude. You're definitely getting into heaven.
I've got you now.
The alleged transitional forms that evolutionists have proposed over the years can be considered either 100% ape or 100% human. No, you're the one doing that. You're doing that in order to make it seem like a transition can't happen. But you're not going to say that because then you have to talk about how things change, how kinds change. Oh man, Neanderthals. The fossil evidence suggests that these individuals were intelligent, used tools, paint, and fire, and buried or cremated their dead. Thus, there is little doubt that these fossils were 100% human and represent either an extinct race of humans or humans with vitamin deficiencies that caused unusual skeletal features. Oh man. So, you know, I'm going to go with the first one. They're not an extinct race of humans. They are an extinct species of humans. It's not that hard. Holy shit, I got to take a photo of that. I know this is dead, but my god. The views of origins. Evolution, creation by chance, and special creation, creation by God. Special creation is like the Chad emerging out of the light.
Thank you, Lemmy. Thank you, Lemmy.
Creation by chance
This
is
cock
like
shots for you.
Holy shit. Thank you, Balls. Thanks for the resub. 47 months. That's kind of ridiculous. That's kind of ridiculous. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, dude. You're the man.
half a human form, like crawling out of like this green ooze. Good argument, but I've already depicted myself as the result of divine creation and you as the half-human crawling out of the primordial ooze. You versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. This is a good meme format, guys, actually. I'm going to get a really nice high-res image of this, get a screenshot of this. If I don't see this image in a meme format pop up on my feed for like a completely unrelated topic to anything we've discussed today, I'll be very disappointed. Okay, finally we're at the end of this chapter. I've glanced over a lot of it because I just can't fucking do it. And we end with creation, the only reasonable belief. Despite appearances to the contrary, evolution remains a belief, not a proven historical or scientific fact.
I learned this in science class.
I love when creationists try and disregard evolution by saying it's just a belief, because that argument would also work for them, where what they believe is also just a
What's up, Stealth Chaos? Good morning.
belief. So guess we're on equal footing then. Neither creation nor evolution can be proved scientifically, because science deals only with the events that are presently observable and experimentally repeatable. The creation versus evolution debate is not about what science says, but about what man believes. They are both presuppositions accepted by faith. As a scientific hypothesis, evolution is a failure. It is contradicted by the evidence, it is based on faulty theories and circular reasoning, and it is inconsistent with scientific reality. But most important, evolution fails as a hypothesis because of the lack of transitional forms. As we have seen, the gradual change of one kind into another kind is impossible. Wait, what? Oh, that's their word for species. Why do they have to make this shit so confusing? Because the transitional forms would not have been fit to survive. Why the fuck not? What about the transitional form between that, you know, that canine and the fucking gray wolf? Where's the transitional form for that? Shouldn't there be one? They changed, didn't they? Or was it suddenly that the canine gave birth to a litter of puppies? One was a coyote, one was a gray wolf, and one was a fucking Pomeranian. You can tell that these people aren't scientists because they'll just be like, that theory is wrong, and then give absolutely no better explanation. The lack of...
Brett Hollywood says, I was legitimately born on a mountain in biblical times. That's what's up, dude. Your workout regimen is fucking top notch, if that's the truth. God, dog. What about the Nephilim? What about them? What about them? I'm into it. I probably would have slept with one, if I'm being honest. I'm not really sure what that says about me. Those women were punished, by the way. The women that fucked the angels and produced the Nephilim or whatever. They were punished. I don't recall how, but I do recall they were punished somehow. I smoked too much weed, I think.
Transitional forms is most clearly illustrated in the supposed evolution of man. Although Darwin and other early evolutionists were confident that transitional forms between man and his ape-like ancestors would eventually be found, discovery after discovery merely reinforces the fact that man has always been man. It most certainly does not. That is literally just a straight-up lie. Here is the evolutionary tree of humans. I'm sure we will find a lot more. Still waiting on Denisovans. We have fragments. We're going to find more of them. I can't believe that you can just say this shit.
Shout out to Homo floresiensis. That's my favorite iteration of human.
And assume that kids are going to believe it because you don't give them access to phones and you homeschool them or something like that. What a fucking crime against humanity. On the contrary, belief in special creation is a reasonable belief supported by the fossil record. In fact, in light of the evidence, special creation is the only reasonable explanation for the origin of life. However,
I could think of worse ways to go out, balls.
We believe in special creation not because of the fossil evidence, but because God's word says that God created the universe. Please clap. I can't believe they just give that to kids. And then they're the same people that complain about, like, indoctrination. You know? Where they're like, I can't believe that, like, the woke media wants to teach our kids about, like, American slavery. I reserve the right as an American to brainwash my kid into not thinking that science is real. I said this at the beginning of the video, and I'll say it again. You do not have to believe in creationism to be a Christian, or to believe in God, or to have a faith system. This book is capitalizing on the misconception that science and faith are incompatible with one another. Since many of the fundamental parts of religion were created at a time where we didn't have explanation for these things, it can feel as if they're incompatible with one another. But it's my belief, and the belief of many others, that you can still believe in God, or a higher power, or a divine...
Yeah, his house was built in like the 1800s, so they're doing... He made his little office down in the basement of it, so they're redecorating it. He said at the beginning of the video that along with the insulation in the walls, it was just covered in rat shit and rat piss and squirrel shit. So they're renovating.
Presence, or whatever the fuck you want, and still understand and accept the way that the world works. I'm a very science-oriented person, but I consider myself to be a little bit spiritual, and I derive a huge sense of meaning and purpose from what we have been able to derive about science. The fact that the odds of my existence and that your existence are so infinitesimal that in the vast oblivion of the fucking universe, we are here. That's fucking incredible. And that's not to undermine people who feel as though their meaning and purpose comes from being created in the image of a divine creator and that they were sent here for a specific purpose. That's equally as inspiring. So the thing that frustrates me about this is literally nothing to do with religion or about faith or anything like that. It is the fact that this is a textbook clearly made for children that is indoctrinating children with pseudoscience. I don't know how else to say it. Anyway, that was a bit exhausting. And now I get to go back to scripting a much longer video about much more egregious creationism. So you guys look forward to that one. All right, folks. If you enjoyed this video and I was able to keep you company while you did your dishes or folded your laundry, I'd appreciate if you could leave an interaction on the video. Interactions help promote these videos in the algorithm so they can be seen by more people, which in turn allows me to continue making free, educational, and entertaining content here on YouTube. Like I say, interactions are like tipping the bellhop. It's absolutely free and helps me do what I do here. I'd also like to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. Patrons get early ad-free access to all of my videos, and all of your names will be in the credits of this video as a small token of my appreciation. Link to my Patreon is in the description of this video if you'd like to support me there. And if you also want to support me, stickers! Go grab some stickers.
Stickers.
Stick them on your face. Stick them on your friend's face. Stick them on the face of a guy that you've never seen in your life. And lastly, I want to give a really big thank you to my team for helping make all of these videos possible. You guys see a lot of me doing this, my song and dance up here, but the only reason any of these videos look remotely polished is because...
Just don't stick them to a light pole. You could be arrested for criminal mischief and do 30 days.
Because I have an amazing team backing me up. I'd be nothing without you guys.
Hypothetically.
I love you all. Ladies and gentlemen, remember to stay curious, stay inquisitive, and most importantly, remember, the real origin of horses is unknown.
Well, goodbye, horses.
Tracy I. Storer, evolutionist. The real origin of horses is unknown. Ladies and gentlemen, the smoking gun in the creation science debate. We don't know where...
Potsy, you don't think we're enlightened enough? How much more enlightened did you expect us to be? You know? I've met several enlightened people. Several. There are some in my chat. You know what I mean? We're all enlightened in some form or another. Especially with this crew, I think. You know? I think it's, it's a process. It's a slow-going process, evolution. Sometimes. But then you get, like, the mud skipper. That's pretty cool. You get shit like tadpoles turning their silly little asses into frogs. That's evolution on a rapid scale. It's good shit. Considering how big and well our brain works, I figured go the distance. That's what we're doing. I've met some people who may not be as enlightened as others. I have met those people too. But I feel like these days, it's not so much unenlightened for lack of trying or whatever. I think it's unenlightened because people understand that ignorance is bliss. What is it called? Willful ignorance? Something like that. The choice of believing that everything's cool, And some other people just aren't satisfied with those answers, I guess. Excuse me. I have a theory that if evolution is 100%, then true sociopaths may be the alpha predator. Oh, for sure. For sure. And I've said this before. I feel they're needed. Sociopaths, for sure. Absolutely. We need sociopaths to be on the front lines in our military. We need somebody to not give a shit about doing the dirty work. You got to break a few eggs to make a delicious omelet, dude. What, are you going to have the vegan break the egg? I don't think he's going to do it. The unenlightened will never be able to identify the truly enlightened. I don't know. I've had some dumb people be in awe of the things that I say. Out when I was doing drugs 10 years ago and hanging around with a bunch of stupid meth heads. Holy shit. Get me going on a rant about some shit. I can hold a room. I can hold a room. For sure. Get me talking about some shit. I had people just slack-jawed at me, high as hell, hanging on my every word. Stupid people, absolutely. The unenlightened do see the light. They just, I feel like maybe, I don't want to say they can't grasp it. I think maybe everybody learns at a different pace and in a different way. So I figure the unenlightened have just not found a way to see the light yet. You know what I mean? I feel like everybody's got the capacity. Didn't you say Cheeseburger Pie was one of the wisest people you know? That was hilarious. He's wise. He's very introspective. He's also a fucking dirty alcoholic who can't stay out of jail. That's for sure. He's fucking stupid. But he is enlightened when it comes to some things. For sure. Just because you're enlightened doesn't mean you're perfect. Doesn't mean you always make the best choices. But he is, like Bobby P. That is another really, really good example. Bobby P was kind of dumb. But get him talking about some shit. And he was actually a fucking bottomless pit of the most niche shit that you could ever think of. Yeah, people are weird. Human beings are so weird. I love how imaginative we all are. And how we have the ability to convince ourselves of things like Judeo-Christian God. You know? I choose to believe Jesus was real. I choose to believe that. I choose to believe that Jesus was one of the most enlightened motherfuckers to walk the earth. I don't believe that he was like the magical son of Sky Daddy, for sure. I don't think he was born of a virgin birth. I do think he existed, and I do think that he fucking changed lives. You know, he was fucking killed for telling everybody to love each other in a world where religion is the opiate of the masses, and the government tries to, you know, control everything with fear, with divisiveness. And Jesus was like, hey, maybe don't. Maybe love each other. Maybe have a little bit of understanding for the human condition. You know, maybe forgive. Forgive the person who wronged you because they might have been in a bad fucking spot. You know? You never know. You never know. Jesus was a yogi? Yeah, for sure. For sure, dude. The dude studied in Egypt. He studied in Egypt, for crying out loud. I don't think he was studying, like, God. You know what I mean? I feel as though I'm not nearly as enlightened when I'm at work. Well, it's probably because human beings probably weren't meant to evolve to work like that. To, you know, be expected to work a 9-to-5 to feed a family of 4. You know, they didn't do that back when humans were invented. Like wearing clothes. That's a weird thing, ain't it? Thanks a lot, climate change, am I right? Oh. Alright. What are we doing here? I think we're gonna go ahead and watch Ants. Mikey's at work. So he's gonna miss Ants. Sorry, pal. I do apologize. This feels wrong. It feels dirty. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Egypt was the Las Vegas of the ancient world. That is beautiful. I would have said Sodom or Gomorrah. But Egypt, I feel like maybe was the Harvard of the ancient world. You know? It was where you go to learn all the stuff and things. You know, how to turn water into wine and such. All right. Let's go here. Let's do this thing right here. Bing, bing, bing. Could you watch the new Tasting History? Oh, Oh, shit. I didn't know there was a new Tasting History today. You know what? Maybe we'll watch Tasting History. And then we'll watch Ants. See if we can't give Mikey a few more minutes or two. The Pharaohs played blackjack and roulette and fucked whores. They got tested. It's legal there. It is hot. I do not feel well. This one right here, feeding the robber barons of the Gilded Age. Oh. Oh! Oh, here's a member's zone. I don't think I am a member.
During the Gilded Age, balls and dinner parties were out of this world. One evening's festivities could cost up to $10 million in today's money. Now, this was, of course, for the privileged very, very few, of which I am not one of them, but that doesn't mean that I can't eat like one of them, as I make this Macédoine of fruit in champagne jelly. So thank you to Graza for sponsoring this video as we dine like the filthy rich during the Gilded Age, this time on Tasting History. The Gilded Age was roughly the last third of the 19th century here in America, and it was an age where burgeoning industries like steel, oil, railroads, and banking made a handful of industrialists wildly wealthy. The term the Gilded Age came from the 1873 novel of the same name by Mark Twain and Charles Dudley Warner, and it perfectly depicts this period because while the age was gilded, it was not golden. See, when something is golden, it's typically gold all the way through. But when it's gilded, it's just a little bit of gold on top of a hunk of iron or some other less precious metal. And while the wealthy of the Gilded Age glittered at the top, just beneath that was a sea of political corruption, with many Americans living in desperate poverty. And perhaps nothing illustrates this dichotomy more than the grand dinners and balls of New York society, where the wealthiest and the poorest were often separated by just a short carriage ride. Like there were the tenement buildings on the Lower East Side where multiple families would share one room, and then, should you head up Fifth Avenue, you'd encounter massive mansions like the Vanderbilt Petit Chateau on 52nd Street, or another Vanderbilt mansion on 57th, where on January 23, 1888, 200 guests of Mrs. Cornelius Vanderbilt dined on this rather modest menu of only 22 dishes. Modest because some dinner menus from this period have up to 60 dishes being served. But this was actually for the supper at a ball, and since you'd be dancing, you didn't want to stuff yourself too much. One of the last dishes mentioned on this menu was a gelée macédoine aux fruits. This is made with any kind of jelly. However, jelly made with champagne or sherry is preferable. Any of the delicate fruits of the season, such as grapes, cherries, peaches, strawberries, raspberries, mulberries, currants on their stems, plums and orange sections, or preserved fruits such as brandied cherries, peaches, etc., are tastefully embedded in the jelly, so as to show their forms and colors to best advantage. The famous chef to Queen Victoria, Charles Francatelli, preferred his jelly to be flavored with a liqueur such as kirsch or maraschino, but I'm going to opt for champagne per the description of Mary F. Henderson. And I'm going to...
Y'all, they're making a Jell-O shot cake. That is pretty badass.
Also use her wine jelly recipe for the basis of my recipe, but using modern day gelatin, you don't have to do everything that she says, so it is going to be quite a bit easier. So for this jelly, what you'll need is 3 packets or 21 grams of powdered gelatin, 1 750 milliliter bottle of champagne, and I'm using pink champagne, which will give it a nice pink hue, but they also used to just dye their jellies all sorts of colors. Then 3/4 of a cup or 175 milliliters of cold water, and 3/4 of a cup or 150 grams of sugar. And then you'll need a few different fruits. I'm using grapes, mandarin oranges, raspberries, and blueberries. Now, I'm not typically a fan of gelatin, but I am a fan of fruit, especially at the end of a really heavy meal, and these were really heavy meals. The dishes included things like chicken stuffed with truffles, lobster Newburg, and the ever-popular filet de bœuf jardinière, which was beef that had lard sewn in. Then there was also pâté, ham aspic, turtle soup, and fried foods like croquettes of chicken and veal sweetbreads. There were a lot of fried foods at these late-night suppers, often taking place after midnight, and that's just Heartburn City if you ask me, but they really enjoyed their deep-fried foods at the time, which means that any wonderful Gilded Age chef would have really appreciated this olive oil frizzle from today's sponsor,
Oh
Glossa.
boy.
This olive oil is specifically made for high-heat cooking, whether
Blah,
that be for
blah,
baking, or
blah,
grilling,
blah.
or corn oil. And it's just one of the top when you use my code MAX10. And now, to make our champagne jelly, what you'll need to do is bloom the gelatin by pouring it over the cold water. It should only take 2 or 3 minutes to become quite wobbly. As it does this, pour out a cup of the champagne into a saucepan and add the sugar to it, stir it up, and then set it over medium heat and bring it to just a simmer so the sugar will fully dissolve. Then remove it from the heat, and as it cools, set the bowl of gelatin in a larger bowl of hot water, and in a minute or two it should liquefy. Then you can pour that into the champagne syrup, which should still be quite warm, and then mix it until it is fully dissolved. Then pour this through a strainer or a cloth jelly bag. Now, a mesh strainer will be perfectly fine for this, but jelly bags are necessary if you have other things in the mixture, like if you were using cinnamon or lemon to flavor this, which were very common at the time, you would need a jelly bag to get a perfectly clear jelly. Then once it's strained, you
Pour some sugar on your jelly bags, Stealth Chaos. I'm gonna start calling people jelly bags.
can set it aside to let it come to room temperature while you pick your mold. And this is the most fun part of the process because you get to decide what your final product will look like. I'm using a couple different molds from the period that were common, though for a Macedon in a great ball, they sometimes had molds that were 2 and 3 feet high, just massive things. I've seen those molds, but I've never seen one for sale, so I've never gotten one. Someday. But for now, I'm going to just use a couple smaller ones that I have and hopefully set one on top of the other so it looks grand. And if you don't have a Victorian mold on hand, you can use a modern gelatin mold.
I believe we watched that episode, Normdiff. I do believe we watched that, and he recreated it. It was pretty good.
Or just a bunt
I think that was not that long ago.
pan will work, or even just a bowl, because sometimes they would even be cylindrical. Whatever you do use, rinse it with cold water and then don't let it dry. Instead, set some fruit at the bottom, and the idea is to have it look pretty, so you want different colors and to have things placed perfectly so it's visually appealing when unmolded. This is definitely easier said than done because a lot of fruit will float, and so it'll kind of move if you add too much gelatin. There were points where I did this, but you can stop this from happening by putting the fruit in, adding the jelly, and then waiting for it to set in the refrigerator for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then adding more fruit in, adding more gelatin, and kind of build up layers like that. Once all of your fruit and gelatin is added, you'll want to put this in the refrigerator for at least 8 hours until it is nice and firm. And that is kind of what makes these dishes so expensive during the Gilded Age, because most of the recipes say that this all needs to be done with ice around the mold because ice boxes were expensive and usually not that large. So being able to make these, especially during the summer, was very costly. You'll definitely see them more during the winter, but even during the summer they do appear on some menus. So to be able to afford to make one of these dishes during the summer was a wonderful way to just show off your money. And that is what the Gilded Age was all about. Many Americans
AJ says, somebody say ice? Run!
are deterred from entertaining because they think they cannot have company without a vulgar abundance, which is, of course, as expensive and troublesome as it is coarse and unrefined. That is from the 1877 book Practical Cooking and Dinner Giving by Mary Henderson. And while there were many who shied away from entertaining, for the elite during the Gilded Age, it gave them an opportunity to, as she said, show a vulgar abundance because that is what they had. It's no coincidence that this period is when the phrase conspicuous consumption was coined. For many in the upper echelon of society, or those grasping toward the upper echelon with their newly made millions, entertaining was a wonderful way to flaunt your wealth. Also, it was a great way to socialize with those worth socializing with. And that, at the beginning of the Gilded Age at least, meant people on the 400 list. This was a list devised by Ward McAllister, self-acclaimed arbiter of social taste. His good friend Carolyn Astor was the top dog in New York society at the time. True old money, at least by American standards. Now, Ward McAllister, who was originally from Savannah, Georgia, once wrote, "Why, there are only about 400 people in fashionable New York society. If you go outside that number, you strike people who are either not at ease in a ballroom or else make other people not at ease." He wrote a book about his thoughts on society in his heyday in New York, and in that he often talks about the balls and elaborate dinners that he went to, and would often include the full menu of what was served. And he couldn't just remember the menu, of course, rather he had menus from all of these dinners that he went to, because people would print out the menu so they could give it to the guests as a bit of a souvenir. Typically the menus were written in French because that was classy, and they could be served at either a private home or often a club or a restaurant like Delmonico's. Now, in looking through these menus, they typically fall into two categories. There is the ball menu, and these were typically smaller, like the one that we're cooking from today, because they were served usually like a buffet during a ball, so people were dancing, etc., etc. But then there were also the dinner part.
Did you see that? Oh! Thank you, Ashy Lemmy. Scared the dog shit out of me, dude. What I was gonna say is, did you see they had 2 pineapples on that table? That's how you know they're rich. Not even just 1. 2. Thank you so much, Ashy Lemmy.
Party menus, and these are usually
I am awake.
8, 12, up to 25 courses, and there would be tons and tons of food coming out. These were the kinds of dinners where when you sit down, there are like a dozen pieces of cutlery right in front of you. Now, the order of the courses would vary slightly, but usually it went something like this. You started off the meal with raw oysters, often Blue Point were the most popular. Then a soup course, often turtle or mock turtle soup, a fish course, and then a course of roasts, which might include several dishes, including turkey, beef, pig, or duck, and then entrees, which were usually cooked oysters, sweetbreads, fried croquettes, or an omelet. Then it's on to the game course, which could be birds like quail or pheasant or duck, along with venison or boar, all with accompanying sauces, and then to give the stomach a reprieve, a punch course would be served. This might be something like a champagne punch or a punch romaine, which I've made here on the channel, and often they weren't like a punch as we think of it today, but rather a sorbet floating in an amalgam of different alcohols. Then there would be multiple vegetable dishes, followed by a salad, and then something sweet. Rich plum puddings, mince pies, fruit cakes, and jellies like the Macedon that we're making today. Then came ice cream, followed by fruit.
Thank you, Ashley Lemmy.
And coffee, and finally, as if anyone is in the mood for it, an entire course of cheese. And each course came with its own glass of wine, and then champagne or brandy at the end. Now, there are accounts of these dinners lasting 4 or 5 or even more hours, especially at gentlemen's clubs. But according to Mary F. Henderson, they should wrap up a lot sooner than that because people will run out of conversation. The waiters should be expeditious without seeming to be in a hurry. A dragging dinner is most tiresome. In France, the dishes and plates seem to be changed almost by magic. At a dinner at the Tuileries, 25 courses were served in an hour and a half. The whole entertainment, with the after-dinner coffee, etc., lasted 3 hours. 25 courses. Absolutely insane. But you do have to remember that the amount of food on a person's plate was usually rather small, and you would only take a couple bites. Never overload a plate, nor oversupply a table. It is a vulgar hospitality. At large companies, where there is necessarily a greater variety of dishes, the most voracious appetite must be satisfied with a little of each. Hospitality is not to be measured by the square inch and calculated by cubic feet of beef or mutton. Indeed, and many of these plates would end up going back to the kitchen barely even touched, and there sometimes the food would be eaten by the servants, but very often it would just be tossed out or given to the animals. And there was something to be said about being able to waste food at this period. It was a sign that you could afford to do it. Now, as I mentioned, Ward McAllister and Carolyn Astor were the gatekeepers of society during this period, kind of the mean girls of New York during the Gilded Age. But it actually wasn't the old money that created the Gilded Age. It was the new money. The Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilts. And it was a Vanderbilt who, when she couldn't get onto Ward McAllister's 400 list, decided to take it down. Alva Vanderbilt, who'd married into the Vanderbilt family, was seen as unfit for the list, but she and her husband had far more money than most of those who were actually on the list, and so she was determined to find her spot in society. So she and her husband William built an opulent mansion in the French chateau style on Fifth Avenue that put all of the other homes around it to shame. And then, as a housewarming, Alva planned to have one of the most spectacular balls that the city of New York had ever seen. And she made sure to have newspaper reporters come to the house in the days and weeks before to talk it up and write about it so that everyone in society had to pay attention. Now, Mrs. Astor, of course, while she may have known about it, didn't care. She was not going to attend this upstart's ball. But her daughter wanted to. And through some rather complex social machinations at the time, including a snub, a lack of invitation for the daughter, who was named Carrie, Mrs. Vanderbilt coaxed Mrs. Astor to finally pay her a visit, essentially acknowledging her existence. And only then did Mrs. Astor accept the invitation to the ball, along with her daughter Carrie. And they did attend. And the social machinations that went on were actually really complex and really interesting, so much so that they take up several episodes in, I think, the first season of The Gilded Age. But for our purposes, it is the grandiosity of the event that is important. With about 800 people in attendance, it was said that the champagne budget alone was $65,000, which would be about $1.6 million in today's money. Though there are
That's a Diddy party.
That say that was the entire budget for food and drink, but even so, that is insane. And yet, the newspapers actually said that it wasn't worth it. The supper was the only thing which severe judges criticize in the arrangements. Here is the bill of fare translated into English. The original is in bad French, poorly printed on a piece of plain pasteboard. The menu
That, ladies and gentlemen, is how Reddit was born.
Included several hot dishes, including bouillon and croquettes, but mostly it was made up of cold dishes, like a salmon dish and different meats suspended in jelly, along with salads and ices. It was definitely more practical to serve cold food at a ball because it was usually done more like a buffet style. And it wouldn't actually be served until 2 a.m., this supper, because the ball started at 11. I've been asleep for hours at this point. Also, it was a Monday night. Anyway, so the food did actually not go fully eaten because people were dancing and everything. But instead of throwing it out, like I mentioned, it actually was used again. For Mr. Russell Sage gave a ball on the next day, and somebody found out that Mr. Sage had made arrangements for the remnants of the Vanderbilt supper, and that there was quite enough left over for the requirements of Mr. Sage's entertainment. The Vanderbilt Ball ended up becoming one of the most important events of the Gilded Age, not because of the food, but rather because of the costumes. People were obliged to spend upwards of $400, that's about $10,000 today, on their outfit, and this led to some pretty extravagant costumes, including Alice Vanderbilt's famous electric light dress, where she had a built-in battery to light an electric light bulb, a rather new invention at the time. Though I think that the award for most interesting costume was that of Miss Kate Fearing Strong, who dressed as a cat. But in a bit of a Cruella de Vil twist, the costume was made with a taxidermied cat on her head and 7 cattails sewn into the skirt. It was also an important ball because in some ways it busted open the 400 list and finally allowed old money and new money to mingle. A bit of equality, provided you were filthy, filthy rich. And this was something that was criticized by the newspapers of the time because it was said that the ball cost about $250,000, which would be $8 to $9 million today for one party. The Vanderbilt Ball was a very expensive entertainment, given to people who are just as much tired and worn out by entertaining as by being entertained. Old, sober-minded men ask themselves whether it is advisable to make such a display of wealth and luxurious living at a time when the working classes are in a state of serious fermentation all over the world. Some kind-minded persons argue that entertainments of this kind are both charitable and patriotic, for they cause money to circulate and give work to those whose lot it is to toil. This is sentimental rubbish. The needy American working man and working woman do not make a cent by the importation of Worth's dresses, the purchase of new diamonds at Tiffany's, or the resetting of old family jewels. The royalty and nobility of the old world had a principle, a tradition to support. In this case, there is no motive of this kind. The festivity represents nothing but the accumulation of immense masses of money by the few out of the labor of the many. That was written 150 years ago, but I kind of feel like it could have been written today. What probably wouldn't have been written today is a menu for a supper of 20 different dishes, including a macédoine of fruits in champagne jelly. So just before you're ready to serve it, dip the mold into some hot water for just a few seconds to loosen it, and then carefully but quickly turn it out onto a plate. And it helps if that plate is a little wet, as it will allow you to move the jelly around a bit should it not be centered. And this can be decorated with some whipped cream or more fruits, or as I did, an entire other jelly on top to make it all the more grand. And for the most part, I think I succeeded with the fruit keeping in its place, especially the grapes. Some of them did kind of float away, but I still think it looks pretty darn good. And here we are, a macédoine of fruits in champagne jelly from the Gilded Age. I could do this all day. It's so fun, the wobble. Here, let me cut a slice out real quick, and let's give it a go. So spoiler alert, I actually don't love the texture of gelatin and like Jell-O, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna just first start with just the gelatin. That really tastes like champagne. That is quite boozy. But it's also really nice and light. That's actually the perfect amount of gelatin, I think. It holds together, but it's not rubbery at all. I'm gonna try it with a grape, if I can skewer a grape. Okay, with an orange. Okay, that's actually really, really nice. It's a little sweet from the amount of sugar that we put in there, but it's not overly sweet. It's not like modern day Jell-O sweet. Okay, maybe I'm actually a fan of Victorian or Gilded Age era gelatin. Because that's really good.
I like tattoos more than I thought.
I also do love the pink hue. If you use regular champagne that's not pink, many of the recipes say to add cochineal, which is a type of...
What's up, Steve Level? Morning. It's been a while since I've seen you. What you been up to, dude?
Coloring from that period, still used today. It's actually made from a small bug, but it makes a wonderfully vibrant red. But if you just use a little bit, you'll get this nice pink. But they also would color them blue and yellow and green and all sorts of different colors. In fact, in one of the first Titanic videos that I did, I made a chartreuse jelly, and that was green because I used green chartreuse. So make it pretty colors.
I remember that.
I would say use different wines, try different liqueurs out, because
I thought that was the in my mind, I thought that was the Hindenburg one. I thought the chartreuse jelly was the Hindenburg.
That really is the dominant flavor.
I was wrong.
I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying this. So even though I'm not a Vanderbilt, it is nice to try eating like a robber baron once in a while. It takes a little bit of time. This is not a quick dish to make, and frankly, none of the dishes on those menus are easy to make. They are all pretty labor intensive, and that's part of what makes them so special, is because they were labor intensive. But give it a try. Try different fruits, try different alcohols, try no alcohol, have other flavorings in there, and I will see you next time on Tasting History.
Good stuff. Love it. I love it so much. All right. I don't think we're going to get to ants today. I legit don't feel right watching it without Mikey, so we'll watch that shit tomorrow. All right? That sounds good to me. It sounds good to me. Let's see what we got here. All right, let's watch this Terror Teds. This is new. It's new.
Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
What is helium-3 energy?
Yeah, so helium-3 is an element that doesn't get to Earth very much because our atmosphere and our gravitational field prevent it from landing on the Earth. So an ounce of helium-3 on the Earth is very, very expensive, and the business case doesn't really close. But on the Moon or on the asteroids, there's a ton of helium-3. And so to give you an example of what it means, if we were to mine the Moon for helium-3, we could, at the current level of electricity use in America, or not in America, in the globe, we could power the energy needs of the human race for thousands of years based on the helium-3 that's on the Moon right now. And and so the twist there is China is there on the Moon, on the far side of the Moon. We don't know what they're doing because we don't have infrastructure up there to even see what's going on. But we do know they're mining helium-3. And so
we legitimately don't know what China is doing on the other side of the Moon?
No, we don't.
Mining the Moon seems like a terrible idea.
The Moon ain't real, right?
China, they're on it's called the dark side of the Moon, which basically means it's the side of the Moon that we can't observe from Earth, if India and China. But China, they've been collecting samples already and sending it to Earth, but they found this brand new material, chungastite. And it's this clear crystal, and it's colorless, but it contains this element called helium-3 that's produced by the sun. So the sun produces it, and since the Moon doesn't have an atmosphere, it just has been collecting on the Moon. But it's this element, you can use it to create unlimited, clean, radiation-free energy.
So they're going to be mining the Moon?
They're going to be mining the Moon. China's like, they're ahead of the game. We were talking about like mining the ocean floor. Probably shouldn't be mining the Moon either.
No.
I mean, that could be the start of the next war. Besides helium-3, the composite material, like the soil, the rocks and stuff, it's the same material that we have on Earth. So it's like made up of the same elements and stuff.
Except for this helium-3.
Yeah, because there's no atmosphere, so the sun can put helium-3 there. But it's basically like a part of the Earth. What if the hollow Earth is just God took out the center of the Earth and made it the Moon?
That's a fun theory.
It's not a theory, it's a fact.
When you think about it, humans are like termites.
Yeah, bro, they ate through everything.
A company in California successfully slingshotted satellites into space, and this is how they did it. The company thought, what if we could launch satellites without using rockets? Seeing as they always explode on the platform, as we saw just the other day with the SpaceX launch. So what they did is they came up with a 33-meter vacuum chamber, and they had an insane idea. And that was to spin the satellite so fast that it hits hypersonic speeds and then just shoot it into space. The speed that it would reach is 5,000 miles per hour. That's 8,000 kilometers an hour. 6 times the speed of sound. No massive rockets, no tons of fuel, just physics. And this makes launches 10 times cheaper because you're not burning all that fuel. But there was one problem. The G-forces are insane. It had to survive 10,000 Gs, which is basically like strapping a satellite to a nuclear blender. But they did prove the concept works. They had 10 successful launches, even one going to NASA. But they no longer do it. They just build satellites now, which is sad because I thought it was quite a gripping idea.
NASA sabotaged the SpaceX launch, bro. They didn't want Elon to find out Mars was fake.
Don't be fucking ridiculous.
Something weird is going on around the world this week with the weather. In Guizhou, China, floodwaters surged over 837 feet, swallowing up neighborhoods and roads. Experts are saying that this is a once-in-a-50-year flood, and locals are saying they've never seen anything like this in their life. In Alabama today, an absolutely massive weather phenomenon appeared and then disappeared over Birmingham. Experts are saying that this could be a meteor or it was a radar glitch. And while media is reporting that now June is the new July with intense summer heats coming earlier than ever before, it is hailing in Tampa, Florida today. There is a 4.2 magnitude earthquake in Albania today. Buses in New York are falling into sinkholes because of the heat, and bridges in China are collapsing because of the rain.
I saw they had hailstones the size of golf balls in Portugal the other day. It's the end of bloody June.
It's weather modification, bro.
Human cells can now be reprogrammed using only sound. We've been using ultrasound to quite literally shatter tumor cells for a while now. If you think of an opera singer shattering a wine glass with their voice, it's the same concept, it's just with cells. These techniques have been used to reduce the size of tumors and shatter cancer cells like leukemia. This research is called sonogenetics, and it can be used to quite literally turn on and off genes. This can be used to treat way different things like Parkinson's or even blindness. Everything has a frequency, even cells. Now the outside of the cell, think of that like a water droplet on a speaker. Different frequencies can make it dance or change shape. Say you want to target something inside the cell, you would need to then know the harmonics. In this example, paint, oil, and water are all mixed. Different frequencies will vibrate the different fluids. You know those frequencies, it allows you to pretty much control them. You have devices like the Simoscope that can measure these frequencies and then show you what they look like. So my question is, were the builders of these aware of this before we were? Nobody knows who really designed them, but we know they had a deep knowledge of acoustics. In every cathedral, there's an ambulatory. That has the same geometry as a cavity resonator. In the center of that resonator is an interference pattern. Same thing we see in cymatics. You make those by playing a frequency through a speaker and you get a pattern. To find the resonance of a building, you record the silence of that building and then amplify it to get the sound. Here's the weird part. Those patterns match the patterns that we see all over the building. If you think it's a coincidence, understand that DNA also makes these patterns. When you look at the molecular bonds of DNA from the top down, they form radial harmonic patterns. If this research discovers that harmonic patterns harmonize our genes, maybe our care facilities will start to look more like that than this, which is a win for everyone.
When you consider ultrasound, I guess it's not that far-fetched.
If you try to use frequencies to heal people, they'll take you out, bro.
This guy went from working at Lockheed Martin to build a dome promised to heal humanity through resonance. And right before it was completed, he mysteriously died and was cremated without his family knowing. Okay, so George Van Tassel, he worked as an aviation engineer for Lockheed Martin, who was supposedly contacted by this interdimensional being, did not like nuclear war, followed by a being telepathically gave him instructions to build something named an Integratron. It gets so interesting. This Integratron was centered around plasma. Yes, plasma, the fourth state of matter. It has metaphysical applications, he said. I'm also writing a book about plasma. The link is in my bio, but I just figured this out, and I'm freaking. According to him and the being, the building was built to generate these magnetic fields that would result in the generation of plasma in the form of a coronal discharge and negative air ionization inside the building. It would help everything from anti-aging to possibly curing cancer. It had to do with a Tesla coil. Building would basically resonate with the cell's frequency, recharging the cells of a person, rejuvenating them. And right before he finished it, he literally died and vanished. And I'm not into like conspiracies, but this one, like, I think is real. I also think it's real because plasma does have healing properties. I think he didn't achieve it. I guess maybe the government, whatever. So we had some weird doomsday prophecies, and that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because plasma reflects belief. I think this plasma stuff is magic. You just need a healed nervous system to be able to channel it and ground it in reality.
Told you, bro. They took him out.
Remember, This is for entertainment purposes only.
This miraculous staircase defies the laws of physics, and no one even knows who built it. In 1878, they're building this chapel and...
This is Philip Ziba. I don't know if you recall the video that we watched just a little bit ago with Mini Minuteman with Milo, going over that creationist textbook. Mini Minuteman also has a series on this Philip Ziba gentleman. Definitely worth a watch. 10 out of 10 do recommend.
Santa Fe, New Mexico, when all of a sudden the French architect leading the...
I've also seen this staircase. This staircase does rule.
Construction just dies out of nowhere. The chapel was almost done, but a crucial staircase to the choir loft was never finished, and without the architect, no one knew how to do it. So the nuns of the chapel prayed to St. Joseph for 9 days straight for someone to be sent to finish building these stairs. And lo and behold, at the end of the 9th day, a man with a toolbox riding a donkey comes into the chapel from across the desert. He tells the nuns he was sent there to finish building the stairs, but they had to grant him complete privacy during the entire process. He takes 3 months to fully construct this spiral staircase that leads into the upper loft and then just leaves without telling anyone. This is where it starts to get crazy. The nuns realized they didn't even pay him, so they went to their local lumberyard to ask how much they owed for this project. The lumberyard workers tell the nuns that no one ever came to get wood from them to build those stairs. And this is in the middle of the desert in 1878, mind you. Wood is not easy to come by nor transport. There wasn't no Home Depot door delivery service back then. Upon closer look at the staircase, the chapel curator realized not a single nail was used in its construction, yet it somehow was held up perfectly secure, measuring 20 feet high and making 2 full turns without any support from a central pole. He brings in over 120 spiral staircase experts to investigate it further, and not one of them could explain how this set of stairs was built. They described it as being physically impossible to create. Even stranger still, the exact wood used to build the staircase was confirmed to be a type of spruce which is not native to New Mexico and is also scientifically not identified anywhere else in the world. This is the mystery of the Loretto Chapel and its miraculous staircase, which still remains unexplained today.
I don't think there's anything magic about those stairs. It's just some types of craftsmanship's been lost to generations.
Nah, bro, we're moving backwards.
I know that in China back in the day, they would build entire temples without any nails. It was just like a groove type situation. You know what I'm talking about?
Japan just created universal artificial...
Megan says, how do I get to be a spiral staircase expert? Good question. Good question. If I had to guess, I'd guess you'd have to be an apprentice, like a carpenter's apprentice for a little while, for a long time. I feel like staircases might be like you got to graduate to staircase expert.
Blood that works for all blood types, and it's purple. Scientists at Nara Medical University developed purple blood that eliminates the need for type matching. Whether you're A, B, AB, or O, this artificial blood works on everyone instantly. Here's how they did it. They take hemoglobin from expired donated blood and wrap it in protective synthetic shells, creating virus-free, artificial red blood cells that are actually safer than real blood. Regular blood lasts 42 days in the fridge. This artificial blood, 2 years at room temperature, 5 years refrigerated, that's 24 times longer. Think about the impact. Paramedics could carry universal blood.
It's 2025, Megan. You're absolutely allowed to do that. There's Mikey. What's up, dude? Good morning. If you've got earbuds in, I suggest you take them out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mr. Two Milks. Is it? 2 Milks? Is it? Mikey, we have decided to do ants tomorrow, if that's okay with you. Because I'm going to finish this Terror Teds and I'm going to beat feet. I'd like to go inside. I think I'm going to take a bath, a cold bath. Because I'm hot. Not like hot looking, like temperature-wise, my skin is on fire.
Blood that doesn't need refrigeration and works on anyone. No more people dying because the wrong blood type wasn't available during emergencies. They're in phase 2 human trials right now, testing up to 400 milliliter doses on volunteers. Phase 1 proved it's completely safe with only mild side effects. Commercial availability is targeted for 2030. This solves blood shortages, eliminates infection risk, and ends mismatched transfusion deaths. Japan will be the first country with commercial artificial blood. Emergency
Morning, acid dust. We're watching some terror Teds and sweating to death.
rooms, ambulances, and military medics worldwide could have instant access to life-saving blood that never expires. We're looking at saving millions of lives globally. The fact that it's purple makes it even more futuristic. In 6 years, this could be flowing through emergency rooms everywhere. Would you infuse this artificial blood in your system to save your life?
You put synthetic oil in an engine and it runs better.
Fuck that, bro. It's demonic.
Did you know there's only one country that could survive a nuclear attack? You might think of countries like the US or Australia, but it's actually Switzerland. Hidden beneath its peaceful villages and snow-capped mountains are near...
Hold up. If you think synthetic blood is demonic, then by that same logic, you'd have to think a pacemaker is also demonic. And I don't know about you, but a pacemaker kept my dad alive for a while. He's dead now, but it wasn't his heart that killed him, it was the cancer. So... What's up, Oscar Electric? Welcome back. I'm back. I'm sure nobody missed me. I did. I had to pop into the potatoes room to have another repeat about Chad. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Now I feel it. I feel you. Band-Aids are from the devil, too. I mean, for right? Prosthetic legs are demonic by that logic. Oh, Lordy, I got the vapors. You giving me the vapors, acid dust. My stars. It's hot out here. For a pimp.
The 400,000 bunkers scattered almost everywhere. There's even one so massive it can house an entire military battalion with sleeping quarters, a hospital, and a cafeteria. In fact, Switzerland is the only country that can protect 100% of its population. But these aren't just bunkers. They're underground cities connected by kilometers of tunnels linking secret chambers, and even fake barns built to hide giant cannons. So why do they need to build so many bunkers? In World War II, with dictators on both sides, it all began as a defense strategy to protect Switzerland's neutrality. And since then, as the world's got more dangerous, the Swiss people understand the importance of being prepared. In addition to this, they also have the most guns of any nation in Europe, so no matter what happens, they will be safe from danger.
Let's move to Switzerland, right?
Well, fuck that, we'll be fine here.
I have no respect for any single leader in the world today. I don't care what party they're from. I don't care what country they're the leader of. I don't have respect for any of them. If you nuke me, even though I'm dead, my submarines are going to nuke you and wipe you out. Yeah. This is childish behavior. This is the behavior of unhinged teenagers. What they're not leaders, they're misleaders. They're pursuing their own agendas and deceiving the public in order to get support behind those agendas. We need a whole new way to function in the world if humanity is going to continue as a species. If anybody cares about that, and I certainly do, I have 9 grandchildren. I don't want them to grow up in a world that's suddenly devastated by a nuclear holocaust because of the stupidity, the idiocy, the irresponsibility, and the macho attitudes of these teenagers in old bodies who are running the world.
He's right, bro. We're fucked.
Yeah, but they don't rule the world. Banks do.
You look at the group of people who meet through the BIS.
What's that?
The BIS is the Bank of International Settlements, and it's the central bank of...
Steve Level, I don't think anybody should be fucking with the Canadians. Have we learned nothing from World War I and II? Have we learned nothing? You don't fuck with the Canadians, okay? They show no mercy. All right?
Central bank.
Where is that located?
It's in Basel, Switzerland, and it has 63 of the most powerful central banks as its members, and the New York Fed, and the Fed are both shareholders. They became shareholders in 1994.
In what sense, what's the purpose of the Bank of International Settlements?
Okay, so there are two things you need to know about the Bank of International Settlements.
I'm not sure my brain's big enough for this, but keep going.
It is.
Okay.
It has sovereign immunity.
What does that mean?
It's above the law.
It's its own country.
Right. It's its own country. It has its own police force. And essentially, other than one of its staff being in a car accident or, minor things, no one has the legal authority to move against it. Okay, it has sovereign immunity. That's number one. Number two, it can move money and hold it on its on its balance sheet and manage money secretly. So if I want to, I'm grossly oversimplifying, if I want to steal $21 trillion from the U.S. government and park it on the balance sheet of the BIS, it can move it anywhere in the world and it can keep it on its balance sheet secretly.
Why would there be an organization? But first of all, where does its power? Like, who empowered it to have sovereign immunity in the?
It was created after World War I, and sort of collected its powers and got going in the 30s. And it was created in theory to manage the reparations of the German government. But if you read the real history, it was because the Bank of England and the central bankers wanted an entity that had sovereign immunity. They wanted to be able to move money secretly. So, for example, if you look at what happened during World War II and all the money that was moving back and forth between the Germans and Americans, if you want to understand power in this world, understanding how the Bank of International Settlements and the plumbing of the central banking system works is very, very important.
That's why they've got bunkers, bro.
Yeah, we need to do a deep dive episode on the Rothschilds.
We here in Europe, we live in a democracy, right? Well, think again. For instance, here in the Netherlands, even though the entire parliament voted against participating in the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, the Minister van Huffelen, this clown over here, went to the EU in Brussels and signed the agreement single-handedly, ignoring the will of both the parliament and the people. Why? Because she thinks it's important, and in her words, her opinion also counts. Also, the European Union put out a survey asking all European citizens what they think about the introduction of the CBDC. The responses were overwhelmingly negative. Everyone said, don't do it. So what do you think the EU did? Exactly, they ignored the will of the people. And in the fourth quarter of this year, the first version of the CBDC will be released. And then, in the second quarter of next year, the Dutch NLID wallet will be launched. And this is where all your money will exist. And it will be fully programmable. Even though nobody wanted this, the people didn't want it, and the parliament voted against it, it's still happening. Is this a democracy or not?
Politics is just fair, bro. They want us to think we have power, but we don't.
Can't argue with that.
Do you know why then Rockefeller, the Ford Foundation, and Linda and Bill Gates Foundation, are paying for the Stalwart Vault in Norway to keep all the seeds that are not GMO? What is your stake on it?
The question was about why the Gates Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation, Syngenta, which is one of the largest GMO corporations, a British Swiss company, why they financed the creation of a nuclear-proof seed vault to store all the seed varieties of the entire planet up near the Arctic Circle, inaccessible by Greenpeace boats or almost anything. What's going on with that? What interest do they have? The BBC, when they did a story on it years ago, called it the Doomsday Seed Vault. I don't know. I can't answer that, but it sure is a scary thing to me. Are they planning to do something to the seed varieties of the entire...
Isn't it called ARC? Didn't they call it ARC? So...
our planet, and then be the ones who control...
I feel like it's pretty obvious.
...what comes out and in what form it's genetically manipulated or not. I don't know, but it certainly is a very scary thing. One of the first things to happen...
It's also incredibly scary when you think about who owns most of the farmland in the United States. Who is that? Who would that be?
When the U.S. bombed Saddam Hussein's Iraq back to the Stone Age in 2003, Iraq is the cradle of civilized agriculture, the Tigris-Euphrates Valley, Mesopotamia. And there was a seed bank of wheat varieties in a place in Iraq called Abu Ghraib. We've heard about it all through the prison. Well, during the course of the U.S. bombing of Iraq, that seed bank in Abu Ghraib disappeared. Nobody could say where it went.
It just makes sense to keep a backup of the world's seeds. I don't think they're doing anything dodgy.
We gotta do the Monsanto episode, bro.
Robot company that's trying to develop stuff that regenerates itself with flesh. Oh, what? I think it's for war. It's attempting to create...
I've heard about this. This is so... I can't help but think this is super fucking badass.
Some sort of energy out of natural matter, and then the big conspiracy is like they're gonna kill the enemy and then eat the enemy so they can keep walking and kill more of the enemies.
So it's just zombies.
Yeah, it's a literal company.
Oh yeah, the Energetic Autonomous Tactical Robot, EATR.
Yeah, Eater.
Who said it was intended to consume vegetation, not animals. One of the robot's inventors told. That's crazy. That it's just like, but it's intended to eat plants. But what if it chooses to eat flesh?
It's called Eater. Also, why do robots need to eat?
No, it's literally...
What if it prefers flesh?
Literally their energy source. Yeah.
That's 100% real. That's crazy. I mean, that's the next evolution of it. Obviously, like, I mean, if labs can create lab-grown animals and stuff, I mean, that's just, you know, it's fuel. It's like, they're not really animals. Yeah. It's not a big deal. But then it's like, what happens if it gets hungry? It gets locked in the house or something.
I see that going real bad.
Yeah, for real.
Dude, your dog's in half when you get home from the grocery store. Dinner is done.
The idea of feeding a robot's insane.
They won't need us to feed them, bro.
This is one of the most mental things I've seen in a long time. The footage behind is the actual footage of the wedding ceremony that took place at Disneyland Paris yesterday. But what you probably don't realize is that this wedding ceremony is between an old man and a 9-year-old girl. 39-year-old British national rented out this part of Disneyland Paris for £115,000 for a couple hours to conduct a wedding. The staff then said how shocked they were when they noticed he turned up with a 9-year-old girl and her mother who appeared to be Ukrainian. But crazier again that once this man was caught and arrested, and actually so was the mother, because why was she letting her daughter do this? It actually came out that this man is a known file in the UK and is actually wanted, and he's essentially out there hiding. But where the hell did bro get this money from, and why is he doing this? The police were called, and the event was of course called off immediately as soon as the staff noticed what was going on here. Excuse was that this was a mock wedding, which I don't even know what that means, but it definitely wasn't appropriate either way. As I say though...
Oh, Megan was right. It was a prank. It wasn't real, guys. We were just kidding. It's for YouTube. It's for YouTube.
The man and the mother of the girl, along with 2 other males, were arrested. There hasn't been that much else released, but I will keep you updated.
That's fucked up, bro.
Yeah, but sadly you won't do any real time for it.
I am here in Nairobi, Kenya, and everyone needs to know what happened right here on Tuesday. To the average person walking past, that might look like some random orange dirt, but it's not. It's covering blood. And it's also the reason I posted this video only after I left the country. You see, just a few days ago at a protest against police brutality, 2 officers shot a 22-year-old man in the head at point blank range. Crazy part is that young man named Boniface Kariuki wasn't even protesting. He was simply a street vendor selling masks when 2 officers with riot gear and shotguns approached him, punched him, and then completely unprovoked, they then left him lying here right on this spot while witnesses rushed to his aid. Little did the officers know, however, not only did someone record the entire thing, but Boniface has miraculously survived. The bullet went through his head right above his ear. But even if he does make it out of intensive care, a CT scan has showed that he has suffered severe brain damage. So his life will never be the same again. Now, here's where things get really dark. Boniface was shot at a protest where people were demanding justice for a teacher who was killed in police custody. Officers arrested a 31-year-old man named Albert Ojwang earlier this month, accusing him of, you ready? Insulting a police boss on social media. But instead of being released, just 2 days later, his wife and parents were informed that Albert was dead. Police initially claimed that it was saying that the victim hit his head on the wall multiple times until he passed away. But an autopsy later exposed the horrific truth. he was brutally beaten to death. And this goes way beyond police brutality. Kenyans are increasingly protesting the entire system in which corruption like this is allowed to take place. So, in just a couple of days' time on the 25th of June, what's being described as the mother of all protests is being organized.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, bro, they're gonna overthrow the government.
Yesterday, hundreds of thousands of people nationwide poured onto the streets of Kenya to protest against the Ruto government. But this was no normal protest. In preparation, police sealed off government buildings with barbed wire, they blocked off access roads to prevent them from being overrun, and the government ordered the ban of all television and radio stations from covering the demonstrations. They even reportedly started blocking apps like Telegram. And because this is a largely Gen Z-led movement, the things we saw yesterday were wild. One guy wrote a sign reading, "Dear Iran, just one missile in our state house, please." Another guy brought his dog so that he could protest too. They used slingshots, and there's even a picture going viral of a girl using a pole vault to go over the barbed wire. And what makes this protest so unique is that it was largely organized on social media using hashtags, and it had no backing amongst the main parties or trade unions. But here's the craziest part. The day before the protest, a coalition of foreign embassies issued a joint statement saying that they are concerned about the government's use of hired goons who are paid to infiltrate and disrupt peaceful protests so that the police have a justification to use force and shut things down. And yesterday, not only did the police use tear gas, water cannons, and batons, but also live ammunition. Amnesty Kenya reports that 16 people were killed, 400 injured, and 8 suffered gunshot wounds. Even CNN news reporters were on the scene wearing bulletproof vests and helmets, saying,
"That's why we wear this. We wear the flak jacket because we have seen Kenyan security forces shooting unarmed peaceful protesters."
And the people part of this Gen Z-led movement are saying these aren't just protests, it's a revolution.
That's what we need here, bro.
Yeah, we can't encourage that. We keep an eye on this. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
CERN just powered up its biggest machine again, and things are getting weird. Reports are flying that this thing isn't just smashing particles, it's opening portals. And now, some of the people working there are openly claiming that entities have come out of those portals, and not all of them went back in. Yeah, listen to that again. People are now asking if this has any...
Secure. Contain.
to do with the government suddenly saying aliens are real, or that a group called the Anunnaki ancient sky gods are supposedly returning to Earth soon. And here's the part that's freaking people out. Have you noticed time feels broken lately? Like days are flying by or weeks vanishing in a blink and nobody feels grounded anymore? What if it's not just stress or screens? What if it's reality itself that's shifting? CERN's playing with the very fabric of time and space, and they've done it before. But this time people are watching. Stay alert.
There's a lot we don't know about CERN, right? But we'll have to save that for next time.
Hold on, so we've got to do the giveaway.
Leave a comment for a chance to win in our next episode. Let's do this, bro.
Bang!
Bad luck.
Click something from our website and we'll send it straight out.
Look how dope these guys look, bro.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, thanks to everyone buying the merch and all our channel members.
Join the Discord, bro. It's free.
And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
I always get so disappointed when this comes to an end. I love these. I could watch them forever. I could watch an episode that lasted forever, I feel like, for real. Oh, that would be awesome, balls. You know they smoke weed. They look like a couple of fucking stoners. I know they're puppets, but I feel like I got that vibe. Alright. I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'm gonna go take a shower. I'm gonna go get my day started. Go make my bed and whatnot. So everybody have a wonderful day. I'll see some of you back here tomorrow on Twitch. If you're not on Twitch, come hop over. It's always fun creating a new profile for some shit. You know what I mean? clean your room, bucko. I saw that, I don't know how real this is. I just saw a picture of it, of Jordan Peterson on Piers Morgan crying again. Come on, man. Save that shit for the shower, all right? I love you guys. Have a great day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for feeding your minds with me. Thank you for feeding my mind. And have a wonderful effing day. Mwah.
I see my hopes and dreams are lying on the ground. I see the sky just begin to fall.